Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I am said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of June 8th, 2026, including the 2026 Xbox Showcase has concluded, so let's dig into all the exciting news, announcements, and trailers shown. Gears of War E-Day looks beautiful and is coming soon. Summer Game Fest was surprisingly pretty darn good this year, with tons of games worth discussing, so let's get into all that and more. Hello and welcome to the 2026 Xbox Showcase episode of the Xbox On podcast. It always feels weird doing something like this because it's out of the routine, it's out of the schedule, but it's always the most exciting episode every year to do, so I'm very much excited to be here with all you guys to talk about what I just bared witness to over on youtube.com. On the Xbox channel where they showed tons of games, and Asha Sharma was all like, this is not an Xbox, and she held up a banana and then she threw it across the room and it hit Sarah Bond in the head, and I was like, that was harsh, but they did that on the show this year, so we got to talk about all that because this is what Xbox has become. So anyway, don't have the regular stuff to say in the intro, so it's kind of just me stalling for time to try and make it feel like there was an intro. Anyway, here we are. Let's just hop right into it, guys. I don't know what to fucking say. So, recap as to where we are. Last week's show, which went live on Thursday, covered all the stuff that was in the PlayStation State of Play event. So if you're looking at the summer showcase events that have taken place, PlayStation stuff has already been covered. There's a lot of Xbox-related news in that event, so that's already locked in. Today's showcase, or today's podcast, we're going to be going over the Xbox Showcase as well as the Summer Game Fest Showcase that took place on Friday evening. And while we cover it every year, it's usually not pretty exciting. This year, it was pretty fucking good, if I'm going to be honest. So, all around, I feel like we've had some pretty good showcases. Surprisingly, PlayStation, I think, by far had the weakest showing, and I don't even mean that as like an Xbox fan. It just, in my opinion, was what it was. So, pretty excited to, with that said, to talk to you guys about Summer Game Fest and Xbox today, because those were, by far, in my opinion, the more exciting two showcases, and with that comes tons and tons of exciting games to look forward to and talk about. So we'll start the show off getting all in depth with what happened at the Xbox Showcase. Then we'll quickly touch on the Gears E-Day Direct that immediately preceded the Xbox event. Then we'll talk about Summer Game Fest, and then wrap up with some other little news stories and things before we round out with listener comments. So a little bit of a different show. We're not going to get into like what I've been playing and things like that. And this show will go live on Monday, June 8th, which means that this week's podcast is coming to you 3 days early, which means next week's show will be a bit of a wait because it'll be a week and a half between episodes as opposed to just a week, which is the downside to getting an episode 3 days early. So instead of this week's show going live on Thursday the 11th, it goes live on Monday the 8th, which means next week's show will resume its regular Thursday schedule, going live on the 18th. So basically from the 9th until the 18th, you're not going to have a new episode of Xbox On. For some of you, that might be a blessing because I know there are at least two listeners of the show who hate this podcast and only listen to it because they made a deal with the devil. In one case, I think it was the guy was like, I'll do anything if you cure my terminal cancer. And the devil was all like, you got to listen to Xbox On every fucking week and I'll cure your cancer. But if you skip a single week, I'm going to kill you in like 2 seconds. You're going to say goodbye to all your children. And that guy, he listens. He fucking hates the show, but he listens. And I know there's another guy, similar deal. I think it was something like I forget what it was. He wanted to be like the fastest like marathon runner. And he like made a deal with the devil. He was like, oh, if you let me run this marathon faster than the other guys running the marathon, I promise I'll do anything. And he's like, oh yeah, you gotta listen to Xbox On every week. I don't know why the devil loves to always use my podcast as like it's like the alternative punishment for making deals with other mortals. But that's I know there's some people out there, this is why they listen to the show. But for those of you who are mentally deficient enough to listen to the show on your own volition, I apologize for the wait. But think about it this way: you get this week's show a little early, So at least there's a give and take. There's an evening of the things happening here. Anyway, I don't know what we're really fucking talking about. Without further ado, guys, let's just jump right in to the Xbox showcase and talk about all the games. All right, let's kick it off with just some general kind of feelings about the showcase, just the general overview, a quick rating, kind of how you feel about it. I'm actually going to kick it off with the only comment that, because for context, I'm recording this like within an hour after the event ended. So the event just ended. All I've done is basically collected some notes, set up my equipment, and hit record. So this is like really, really fresh takes. I'm sure there's going to be lots of little bits of news and stuff that will trickle out over the course of today and in the week ahead. So we'll have plenty of updates with some of these games to talk about the next time we meet. But just keep in mind, this is like really fresh takes. So in that short, brief period of time, Cargo Runner UK ran over to youtube.com and said, "Hang on, family, I can't have Sunday dinner with you. I got to go comment on Jesse's podcast." And thank you for doing so, Cargo Runner. I do like to think the show is more important than your family Sunday dinners. And he says the following. He says, "Holy shit, Xbox is back. The Xbox console finally has world-class exclusives again. There is a reason to buy a console again. Clockwork Revolution and Gears E-Day are the most exciting games from all of the shows by far. They look amazing. Sony had all the hype for their show, and their highlight was God of War Faye, and that game did not grab me at all. The comedy talking cube bouncing into enemies like a clown just killed the atmosphere and the combat. But Asha is going to be the Xbox fans' hero." Okay, obviously there's a lot of subjective stuff in there, even if I do largely agree with you, because for my personal taste, yeah, Clockwork Revolution is actually my most anticipated game, just period, right now. In Gears E-Day, I wouldn't say top 3, but it's a top 5, top 7 game for me right now. I'm very excited about it. So for sure, these are some of the most exciting games, and to know that Xbox has some console exclusives again, it's kind of fucking wild. And I will agree with you as a kind of unnecessary non sequitur, which is I guess kind of a redundant thing to say, because aren't all non sequiturs kind of redundant or unnecessary, I should say. Anyway, God of War, yeah, this new God of War game looks really, really fucking weak. Not even like, oh, this is an amateur game. Like, the game obviously looks incredibly impressive visually. I'm sure it's going to control and play very, very well and have a very high polish to it. It's just like, it looks like a game that's just like, holy shit, why would you do this? Why would anyone want this? Why is this the direction we're going in? Why will you not just let this fucking series die? And, to keep the score even, I think Xbox had a game like that in their showcase, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Although maybe PlayStation's more justified in there, since theirs is more of a series that's proven with its sales track record. But anyway, we'll talk about Hellblade later, huh? Cargo Runner, I am excited that you are excited. I'm excited to see that a lot of Xbox fans' initial reaction is like, fuck yeah, that was it. I don't know where I fall in it, in terms of like, just like how bought in I am to Xbox again after the showcase. I think this was a big make it or break it moment for Xbox, because with all the ups and downs and the bad news and the just absolute like dumps that Xbox has found itself in past couple years, I feel like this would be, with the leadership change up and just in the excitement of a new generation on the horizon, this was the year to be like, you either start really showing that the ship is turning in a direction for the better, or you're gonna lose like super hardcore, longtime faithful people, which, let's be honest, you already have begun to do so. So like, this is a really important moment to hold the attention of some of your longest time fans. So I agree that it was really important, which I think is a sentiment a lot of people shared. But for me personally, as a longtime Xbox fan, as a guy who hosts an Xbox podcast for some reason on Sunday nights sometimes, I felt like this show was like a B+. And that's a pretty high mark. Let's be honest, for the most part, I feel like in the past decade, you might even say more so, Xbox just generally knows how to put on a good show. Like, I've always found Xbox's showcases to be one of, if not the best, almost every year. Like, it's pretty fucking common. So I just like, and I don't want to take that for granted. But I'm also don't, and I don't want to trivialize it either. But I want to be like, I want to remind you that it's not all too uncommon for Xbox to show up and for the sense, the takeaway to be like, yeah, that was a really good showing. Whereas PlayStation will have like kind of a mid showing or boring showing, or sometimes, who knows, sometimes they have great showings. But they're kind of all over the place, and Xbox is usually pretty consistently great. And then Jeff Keighley, bless his soul. I mean, the Game Awards can be quite entertaining in December, but the Summer Game Fest every June is more often than not, it's like eye-wateringly boring. This year, it was just surprising to see that it was actually pretty good, which is awesome to see, of course. But I just want to say, like, for me to say this Xbox Showcase was like a B+, like that's relative to a bunch of years where I would also say B+, A-, A, whatever, because Xbox typically puts together a pretty fucking good show. The problem is, Jeff Keighley puts together a show that's usually anywhere from like boring as hell to like decent, but then a bunch of games that were shown in that showcase come out and people love them and the world is good. And PlayStation often has no showcase or a boring showcase or an underwhelming showcase, but it doesn't matter. The CEO of PlayStation could spread his ass cheeks apart and shit on the face of like 17 orphaned children in third world countries, and the world would still be like, yeah, I'm buying a PlayStation 5, fuck it, fuck Xbox, fuck everything else. So it doesn't matter. The thing about Xbox is I feel like they consistently have the best showings, and then like immediately afterwards the sentiment just reverts back to like, Xbox has no games, what is Xbox doing, Xbox is stupid, why even play Xbox? Like, I was just, while I was typing up some quick notes and putting all the comments on my OneNotes document, I was listening to a live stream from Last Stand Media because it's like the one video game podcast thing I listen to, and Chris Raygun, who's a YouTuber and commentator that I generally align with in a lot of ways, was kind of like talking about his personal feelings on Xbox these days, and he was talking about how like Xbox doesn't really give you a reason to play Xbox, like why would you still play Xbox, or something to the effect of like I love Xbox, but like there's no reason to ever play it. It's like, what games are you playing on it, was what he said. I was like, what the fuck do you mean, what games are you playing? Xbox has plenty of, and this is the part that bothers me. It's like Xbox is a deeply troubled brand, but like the problem with Xbox is not that there aren't games to play. Xbox has more games than PlayStation. Xbox Game Studios has more output than PlayStation. That's been that way for a while now. We're like kind of long past the days of Xbox has no games, Gears Forza Halo, Gears Forza Halo. Like, it's been long enough that's like time to fucking move on, I feel like we're making fun of some incredibly handsome, successful, well-to-do 40-year-old man because in high school he was a loser and he wore braces. It's like we're kind of past that, and you look kind of lame just sitting here and making fun of him instead of just like acknowledging that times have changed. Now, obviously, Xbox's woes are greater and more far-reaching than ever before. It's not all good on Team Xbox, but just the games arguments, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, if listen, I know most Xbox games come to PlayStation. I know most Xbox games can be just played on PC. I know Xbox isn't the best place to go for console exclusives traditionally, but Xbox is a fantastic place to go if you want to play video games. Like, no doubt about it. Like, if you have an Xbox and your friend has a PlayStation, you can play 99% the same fucking games, because all PlayStation's games are either canceled, stuck in development hell, or just a sequel to fucking God of War. It's like, what are you talking about, man? Like, Xbox players pretty much miss out on almost nothing. And obviously taste is subjective, so you might be the guy who's like, well, I want to play Soros, and I want to play Ghost of Yota, and I want to play God of War 76. It's like, oh, okay, good for you, but like, for my taste, I don't feel like I'm missing pretty much anything not being on PlayStation. The only thing I miss playing on PlayStation is just games made by Insomniac. That's pretty much it for me. So like, it's not to say there aren't reasons to pick PlayStation. I just think it's so silly that people still have this takeaway of like, Xbox doesn't have any games. And if there's one thing this showing had, it was a fuck ton of excellent games. Really long tangent for no reason. The other thing before we really go in game by game and talk about what happened here is Xbox announced 2 console exclusive games. And then Aaron Greenberg went on Twitter shortly after the event and said, by the way, these are not timed exclusive. These are just exclusive games. Now, obviously, we've seen Xbox, one of their many woes is that they love to talk out both sides of their mouth, or one executive says this and another executive says the other. So is it possible that these games come to PlayStation in 1 or 2 years? Absolutely. But we're being told right now in the summer of 2026 that these games are console exclusive pretty much permanently on Xbox. And those games were Gears of War E-Day, which is a huge shocker, and Clockwork Revolution, which is my most anticipated game. Gears of War being console exclusive, kind of fucking weird, because it's a game that's going to live and die by its multiplayer and fan base, and to deny PlayStation that game kind of makes no sense when you're like putting games like Starfield on PlayStation where it's selling horribly, and it's like, well, you didn't have to do that. Starfield doesn't rely on an online community or multiplayer player base, so like I don't understand how they pick and choose which games do and don't go over. Like, to me, it's a weirder thing that Halo is coming to PlayStation than another Gears game. But maybe I'm just saying that because Gears has already been on PlayStation at this point. I don't know. It's weird, and that's a separate conversation. But nonetheless, it definitely has reinvigorated some hope, some excitement in the Xbox fan base, and I think that is important. So without further ado, let's just kind of go game by game, talk about what was shown, and we'll go from there. So the show opened, I thought they were going to open with Halo, but they opened with Gears of War. They showed an extended gameplay demo from the campaign, and it looks fucking awesome. A reoccurring problem I'm going to have throughout today's episode, I apologize in advance, is that I just don't have too much to say about a lot of these games, because I feel like we're seeing games we've already seen, or that have already been announced, or they're just sequels to games we've already played. I'm just like, yeah, they're making another one of these, and that's great. So apologies, but yes, Gears of War E-Day. I watched the direct that happened after the fact, and I do appreciate this attempt to try and make the game look and feel as much like a Gears of War game as it can possibly look and feel, while also moving the needle forward in some ways. And it is cool how this game is a lot more destructible. You kind of get to see the city fall apart, go from being like a regular average city into being some dilapidated, overrun, apocalyptic mess. And that is very cool. The game looks stunning in Unreal Engine 5. I like what I'm seeing. It's kind of like all the news about Gears of War, the game, is overshadowed by this kind of like earth-shattering news that this game is not going to be a timed exclusive. It's not coming to PlayStation. It is just an Xbox PC exclusive game. Of course, day one Game Pass, because it's Xbox Game Studios. Of course, it's Play Anywhere. But yeah, PlayStation 5 can go suck a dick, is basically what they said. And then the other big thing is, of course, we finally got a release date. Now, what was I saying? That it would be sometime in September? Close enough. The game is scheduled to come out October 6th. So, I mean, you run into a little bit of trouble here where it's like, all right, that's like 2.5 weeks away from Call of Duty. This is where Xbox starts like kind of cannibalizing itself, where it's like, if you're going to own Call of Duty, just understand Gears of War multiplayer and Call of Duty multiplayer fans, there's a pretty big crossover there, but whatever. I get it. You got to get all this shit out long before GTA, so that's kind of what they're doing here. But yeah, October 6th, day one Game Pass, Gears of War E-Day. I guess the plan is to get all your sales from people on Steam to drive Game Pass numbers by having the game exclusive on Xbox, and understand that you're going to fucking eat a lot of money by not putting this on PlayStation, because as we know, and like, listen, man, I try to be honest and fair in everything. The truth of the matter is the numbers show that people who play on Xbox do not buy video games, and that is a big reason why Xbox feels the need to put things on other platforms in the first place. I'm not telling anyone what they should or shouldn't do with their money. Times are tough. Game Pass is a great value. Why not take advantage of the option if it's there? But I personally made the decision for myself a while ago. I'm not going to interact with Game Pass. I'm not going to use Game Pass for access to games. I'm going to keep the lowest tier of Game Pass just so I can have online play and all the Xbox Live features that you need to have to use Xbox. But other than that, Gears of War E-Day is a game that I will happily spend $70 on to support and show the coalition that I want you guys to have jobs and I want Xbox to continue to have games. So I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't rely on Game Pass Ultimate to play this game day one. But if you want to see more exclusive games come to Xbox, if you want to see Xbox games come to PlayStation less often, come to Switch less often, if you want Xbox as a platform to feel more vibrant and for Microsoft to feel more comfortable investing in this ecosystem and this console hardware, my recommendation would be to you, if you can afford to do so, if you're not overextending yourself and it's no skin off your back, maybe consider buying these games instead of relying on Game Pass, which is a fucking cudgel wrapped, fucking a noose around the neck of Xbox that is destroying this brand, and they cannot put it away because the only thing that would kill Xbox faster than getting rid of, then continuing down this path with Game Pass would be getting rid of it, because obviously you're just going to piss off the majority of people who don't really give a shit about how and where you make your money. They just want the feature and the benefit that they have. That being said, Gears of War E-Day looks great. Actually, let's actually change up something on the fly here. Instead of having a dedicated segment to the Gears of War E-Day Direct, we're just going to kind of talk about everything else about Gears of War right here, because I watched that whole 30-minute Direct, and I got to be honest with you, it's a nice developer diary if you're a huge Gears fan. It's worth watching. They talk about like the why behind some of the art direction stuff. They talk about the sound design. They talk about a lot of things, some narrative stuff. But I think this is one of the weaker developer diaries or developer directs they've done after their summer showcase, because they mentioned horde mode for like all of 20 seconds, and then they said the word multiplayer in passing. They did not show or go into any detail whatsoever about like online competitive multiplayer. Now, I assume when they said multiplayer, they were referring to competitive online multiplayer, and I assume this game will have online competitive multiplayer, but they did not really talk about or show that in any way, which I thought was a massive miss, since so much of Gears of War's, brand and legacy and player base is built around its online multiplayer. I mean, it's just, I don't know. That'd be like putting out a Halo game without multiplayer. Oh, wait. They are. But no, seriously, like, this isn't a remake of anything. This is a new Gears of War mainline entry game, so I'm just a little surprised that we're, like, 3 months away from this game coming out, and there's just, like, absolutely no word on the multiplayer. However, they did mention in passing during the developer direct, they said that there will be open betas later this summer. And they said betas like plural. I don't know if they meant like one for PC, one for Xbox, or if they meant like 2 betas over the course of like maybe like one in July and one in August or something like that. I don't know. But just keep in mind that there will be open betas, so presumably you'll either not need to have the game pre-ordered, or maybe just be a Game Pass subscriber, or maybe no requirement at all. I don't fucking know. But there will be a way to play this game in the coming months. I would guess probably sometime in like August, because they want to give because they said later in the summer, and they probably don't want to do it too close to Halo's time. So I'm guessing that's probably an August plan. But yeah, I mean, this game looks really good. I'm assuming it has multiplayer. They did confirm horde mode, and it's a little bit different. They said it's a PvE horde mode where it's 3 squads can team up and play an expanded version of horde mode. I wonder if there'll be a more classic mode available as well. Multiplayer returns, but we don't know anything about it. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so October 6th, I mean, the time is ticking. We're getting closer and closer, and it's really cool to know. I mean, obviously, Forza Horizon 6 just came out. It's a huge hit. And it's a timed exclusive for Xbox. So we'll see how it plays out. But I mean, it's a good year for Xbox so far, because they got Forza Horizon's already out. They have Gears in September. They have Halo, or in October. They have Halo in July. They have Modern Warfare 4 in October as well. Later in October. It's a good year for Xbox. They got a pretty decent lineup of games to get hyped about, and then we're going to start 2027 strong with Fable at the top, and then we got the continuation with like State of Decay 3 and Clockwork Revolution. So Xbox, I think they have a pretty good release cadence up ahead, and I hope they can continue to maintain and manage this well, because I think we're on a pretty good trajectory and track right now for Xbox. So anyway, so that's Gears of War, right? Then we get into Fable. So next up, they show a cinematic trailer for Fable. Then that kind of ends with some more gameplay. I feel like we've seen too much of Fable at this point. Yeah, the game got delayed. It was originally supposed to be out this year. I think obviously the reason it got delayed was because Fable would have been the perfect November game, but you don't fuck with Grand Theft Auto. I think it's as simple as that. But they have finally given the game a firm date. So February 23rd, 2027. So it's been delayed until the second month of next year. Pretty reasonable. It's taken that like avowed slot in the release schedule. So I thought that was a pretty fitting place for it to go. Yeah, I mean, this game continues to look good. We're at a point now with Fable where it's like, I don't want to see anymore. I feel like I've seen enough. I'm sold on the game. I do appreciate that this trailer was more, had more combat shown when they showed the gameplay. It was more combat focused. And then it showed, emphasized the whole, thing about choice and everything like that. The character they used to narrate the trailer this time was a character voiced by and modeled after the famous actress Hayley Atwell, who plays Peggy Carter in the Marvel movies, and so that was cool because she's pretty, and I like that she was in the Fable game, and my girlfriend likes her a lot too, so that was cool. But yeah, I mean that's. Listen, I think we kind of touched on this last week, so there's not really a whole lot more to put onto it. Fable looks good. I think we're all ready for it. We're excited about it. They confirmed it is on PlayStation 5. The PlayStation logo was there at the end of the trailer, along with the February 23rd, 2027 release date confirmation. It is weird to think that like a game like how do you decide? A game like Fable comes to PlayStation 5 the same day it comes out on Xbox. A game like Forza comes to Xbox first, and then 6 to 12 months later comes to PlayStation. A game like Gears of War comes to Xbox, doesn't come to PlayStation, even though there have been Gears of War games put on PlayStation in the past. I think it's very confusing. I think it's very obvious that Xbox is in a transitional phase where they are throwing things at a wall and finding out what sticks. I think Asha and the new leadership team is going, all right, well, let's try this. Well, let's try that. Well, let's try this. And I think there are probably some older heads at Xbox who are like, well, man, the plan was actually to have this game be console agnostic. This was actually going to be on PlayStation day one. And, this was probably going to be timed for like 6 months. And she and her new leadership team are probably like, yeah, but let's try this. Yeah, well, that's not working. Or, yeah, but we already know what happens if we don't put that game on Xbox as an exclusive. So I think normally there would be a rhyme or reason if there was enough time to properly control all this and react. But I think that, things like, for example, Fable coming to PlayStation 5, that's been news for a long time at this point. So it's like they're not going to put the genie back in the bottle and say, oh, we're unannouncing it for PlayStation 5. Whereas Gears E-Day never officially said, oh, yeah, it's coming to PlayStation 5. So for them to kind of pull the plug on a PlayStation 5 version, it's like, well, we never really said. So I think that's kind of how we ended up in the situation where these are the games they did and didn't pick. But we now have modern Xbox games, examples of at least 3, but technically many games where it's like, this one isn't exclusive, this one is exclusive, and this one is timed exclusive. And we can't really track the logic behind it. Halo is day one, not exclusive. Fable is day one, not exclusive. Minecraft Dungeons, day one, not exclusive. I keep wanting to say South of Midnight for some fucking reason. Clockwork Revolution, it's console exclusive, like done and done. Gears of War, same thing. Indiana Jones was timed. Forza is timed. We were told that Starfield was an Xbox exclusive, and that Phil Spencer said years ago the reason they bought Bethesda was to bring great exclusive games to the Xbox platform. And then 3 years later, Starfield comes to PlayStation 5. So it's just like, again, it's like, I get that Asha and her team are here to make changes and to figure out how to fix Xbox. And so we're going to see things that, especially like in the case of the Starfield thing, where it's like things that were said 2, 3, 4 years ago are not going to necessarily be consistent with things they're doing today. But generally speaking, I think, in the mid to long term, as an Xbox fan, as someone who's keyed in on the game's ecosystem, it just looks chaotic and frantic to just be like, why Gears? It's like, wouldn't Fable benefit more from being an Xbox exclusive because it's this big, awesome single player adventure game that has potential to be like the next Baldur's Gate or whatever, and could be a water cooler type game, and it would be so awesome if that was only on Xbox because it would convince people like, hey, I need to go buy an Xbox. Whereas Gears of War, might benefit from being on PlayStation day one because you sell a couple more millions of copies thanks to being on PlayStation, and then you have a huge, healthy online player base who you can get addicted to your game and then sell them seasonal content and battle passes and cosmetics and things like that. Whereas if you put it just on Xbox, you're just severely limiting the longevity of this game by having a greatly reduced player base online. So it's like, I don't know, you just look at it and it's like, where's the logic? But I don't think the logic comes from weighing those options. I think the logic comes from, well, we can't we can't take Fable away from PlayStation. We've already announced it. We haven't said anything about Gears of War, so let's do that one. I think it comes to that. I also think it comes to, like, Gears of War E-Day has taken a long time to come out because from 2019 when Gears 5 came out till 2026 when E-Day comes out, that's a long 7-year gap. However, we know that the Coalition, after Gears 5 kind of, they worked on that expansion for a little bit, the Hivebusters, and then they were toying around with the new IP, doing that for a little while, and then it was like, oh, maybe we'll just go back to and make Gears 6, and then they landed on Gears E-Day. It sounds like the big wait was because they messed around with other things that didn't bear fruit. But from the moment they decided to make Gears E-Day to the time Gears E-Day is coming out, seems like it's been 3 years, 4 years. It's a pretty good turnaround time to make Gears of War E-Day. So it's not, at the end of the day, time is money, but it seems like it's probably a more affordable project overall. But when you look at a game like Fable, Playground Games, it's like, okay, well, that game's been in development since 1906. Microsoft has spent serious fucking money on that game over the past decade or so, across multiple studios, teams in Washington, teams in the UK, much more expensive than teams in Canada. So I think the logic might be that it's like, listen, Fable is just too fucking expensive to not put on PlayStation. We need to guarantee a return on investment for this project, and so it's coming to PlayStation day one, whether you like it or not. And you can assume that might be the logic behind that decision. But again, from a gamer's perspective, someone who's not financially invested or in the weeds with these things, it's just like, why would Fable come to PlayStation but Gears wouldn't? It's just so weird. Fable is one of the OG Xbox IP that doesn't have any history being on PlayStation whatsoever. So I don't know, but whatever. Here we go. We start out the showcase. We start with Gears of War, really strong. We go into Fable, really strong. Then we go into Halo, really strong. The opening for this event is phenomenal. So let's talk about Halo. They did exactly what I hoped they'd do. They did an extended, deep dive, an extended trailer, I should say, that really focuses on these prequel missions, these 3 new missions that take place before the events of Halo 1, after the events of Halo Reach, and center around Sergeant Johnson, beloved character Sergeant Johnson, who unfortunately, spoiler alert for 2007, dies in Halo 3, and then bringing him back and letting you play with him and Chief in these all new 3 campaign missions. So focusing on that, I think, is the right move. The trailer, let's talk positives first. The gameplay looks fucking awesome. The levels look cool. I was hoping for some kind of space combat, spaceship flying thing, similar to what you got in Halo Reach. It shows a part where you are commandeering a Covenant ship of some sort, and so it looks like there is some kind of space flying combat moment in a level, which I think looks fucking awesome. I see the return of guns from Halo 2. I see the return of guns from Halo Reach. So it looks like this game has quite an expanded arsenal, which is awesome to see. I've always been a fan of sprint and all that stuff in Halo, so seeing that stuff in here to me is a welcome addition. So overall, the game looks great. I still think Halo looks a little weird and a little uncanny in Unreal Engine. It just doesn't look fully like Halo. But overall, the game objectively looks pretty. The graphics are good and whatnot. Here's my big gripe with what they showed. You got a lot of balls going back to the well and reviving a character like Sergeant Johnson. Obviously, this takes place before he passes away in the series, so whatever. But going back to this character, you got balls, because you got to remember, to some extent, Sergeant Johnson is such a product of his time. That character is such a caricature of this aggressive, aggro, no nonsense, jack off like black army bro, that he feels so early to mid 2000s. And the way we write characters and stories in video games today, let's just say we're very much not in that time or place anymore. So if you're going to go back to Sergeant Johnson, you really need to embrace a style of writing, a type of character that is very uncommon to see in video games today. And I think Halo Studios immediately proved in this trailer that they are not up for the task, because this new Sergeant Johnson doesn't look like him. His character model looks horrible. His facial animations look weird. It doesn't look like Sergeant Johnson at all. In addition to that, it doesn't fucking sound like him. Obviously, there's a new voice actor here. He sounds nothing like Sergeant Johnson. And on top of that, the writing is really, really fucking piss poor. And the part of this that made me cringe the most was at the very end of the trailer. Sergeant Johnson turns to Master Chief and says something to the effect of, do you ever get tired of playing the almost silent protagonist type character? And then Chief looks to Sergeant Johnson and just goes, no. I'm like, that's, as the internet would say, that is like that Marvel style writing that's like, okay, it works for Shang-Chi and Iron Man, but like, we don't fucking need that stuff in Halo. Like, that is bad writing for Halo. The comedic timing like thing they're going for with like the punch, the self-awareness thing, like, that's not Halo. Don't do that joke. This Sergeant Johnson looks wrong. He sounds wrong. He sounds weaker. He just sounds like kind of like a stale fucking stick figure kind of man. Like, listen, the thing I think of is like when Robert Downey Jr. did that blackface character in that movie Tropic Thunder from like 2006 or whatever. That's the kind of energy you need to have Sergeant Johnson. And this guy, whatever the fuck they showed in this trailer, is not it. And it's disappointing because no one was a bigger guy, sound like Donald Trump, fucking kill me. No one was a bigger proponent of what 343 had done with Halo than I was in 2012 and 2015 when we were getting Halos 4 and 5. I was okay with the idea that Halo is going to change. It's going to evolve. It's going to look different. It's going to feel different. We're going to take the franchise in new directions. We're going to take liberties with it, and it will not always look and feel like the Halo that Bungie gave you in the 2000s. Get comfortable with it. And I loved Halo 4, and I loved Halo Wars 2, and I loved Halo 5, and I was super cool with big changes. But starting with Halo Infinite, it doesn't feel like 343 or Halo Studios had like a desire in their hearts to take liberties with the franchise, to move it in new directions. It felt like they were constantly trying to capitulate and guess what like Redditors would want to see out of Halo. And that's why I have so many issues with Halo Infinite, because it stabs the back of Halos 4 and 5 while not really justifying its own existence or fulfilling its own narrative choices. The art style change is never really justified or explained, but whatever. People generally liked it, so whatever, turn a blind eye. And now we got this game where it's like you're adding new story content to Halo Combat Evolved, and it doesn't fit at all in the context of the original Bungie trilogy that you're going back and revisiting. So it's like, what are you fucking doing here, man? It's like this is the kind of stuff, man, with Xbox where it's like, oh my god, if only someone was in charge of Xbox Game Studios and actually gave a shit about making sure that they have the right people in charge of these teams, honoring these franchises and the legacies of these games in a way that made sense at all. Like, why the fuck, Gears E-Day looks awesome. I can't wait. I'm there day one. Why the fuck does Gears of War 5 end on a cliffhanger with a main character dying? And then we just abandon that thing for 7 years and go make a prequel? That's like if after Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, if instead of making Return of the Jedi, they made fucking Solo a Star Wars Han Solo adventure, the movie. Like, it's like, I liked the Han Solo movie, actually. I was one of the 5 people that genuinely thought it was a pretty fun movie, but like, that doesn't change the fact. It's like, why are you making this? Why don't you just finish your fucking story that you're at the end of right now? And so it's like, you got that going on with Gears of War. You got Halo constantly in a situation where they're just setting up stories, abandoning stories, setting up stories, abandoning stories. And now they're just castrating art styles and bastardizing beloved characters. It's like, brother, this isn't Halo. I'm like, I was so annoyed by these people in 2012 and 2015, 2017. Now I'm one of them. It's like, this is not Halo. What are we fucking doing here? So I'm so torn, because if I saw this trailer and I had the audio turned off and I'm just watching the footage, I'm like, bro, I'm not going to lie. Combat Evolved has always been my least favorite Halo game, but I'm hyped for this. Like, I'm hyped for these other guns being added into this game, the levels being reworked a little bit, new levels that have never been played, adding sprint. I'm like, listen, I'm okay. Whatever. For $50, I'm in. Let's go play Halo Combat Evolved. I'm here for it. I'm pretty excited about this. But you put that fucking audio on and you hear the writing and you hear the way the character sounds and you see what they're doing with some beloved old school Halo lore, and you're just like, God damn it, guys. Who is it at Xbox who can't be bothered to make sure that your flagship studio is treating your flagship IP with the utmost care, respect, and attention to detail? Why is this so hard to understand? Why is it so hard to put up the money, go find the talent, and make it happen to where Halo gets the respect and care it deserves? Because boy, oh boy, it just doesn't look like it. But you know me, you know I'm a fucking Halo slut. So I'll be here day one. We'll talk about it when the time comes. I hope, against all odds, that this game is written and portrayed and handled much better than what we're seeing in this trailer, because I'm satisfied with the game I'm seeing being played, but I'm not happy with what I'm seeing yet again from a character and narrative perspective, which just seems to be the norm these days with Halo. And I promise this show will start moving faster and faster. When we're not talking about games like Halo or Gears of War, we'll go faster. But this next game they showed, they keep it going with the really, really strong opening, because the fourth game they show is a new game in the Plague Tale series called Resonance, A Plague Tale Legacy. It's developed by, of course, Plague Tale creators Asobo Studios and published again by Focus Entertainment. And just keep in mind here, we don't see too much Focus Entertainment in this event, in this direct or showcase, but every time we do see them, they're always attached to cool games. Focus Entertainment, in my opinion, is really turning up to be like one of the great publishers in video games these days. I really love these guys. But yeah, Sobo, great studio, making a third entry in the Plague Tale series, and it comes out very soon on August 27th. A Plague Tale Innocence and a Plague Tale Requiem are two games that have long been in my backlog. I feel bad because I know I'll love these games. But Resonance, oh boy. This game looks significantly better than the first two. Now, it's a prequel. It takes place at something like 15 or 20 years before the first game. And you play as a character who I guess is introduced in the first two games, but is like a fan favorite, and it's her story from before the main entries. I don't know, man. This game looks awesome. It looks a lot more action adventure centric and a little less like stealthy and puzzly compared to like the first two games. And I say that as someone who hasn't played the first two games, so it could just be my very limited and ignorant understanding of this franchise. But this one definitely looks more action inclined, which to me is a plus. And it's coming out really, really soon, which is awesome. I would love to say that this summer I will finally knock out Plague Tale Innocence and Requiem in anticipation of this game, but knowing how hard it is to fucking keep up with the cadence of game releases, it's probably just not going to happen. But I did think this game looked really good, and it was an excellent way to keep the momentum going. We open with Gears, Fable, Halo, classic trilogy of Xbox franchises. And then we immediately move into a third party that is not only heavily associated with Xbox, but is of an excellent quality as well, making it a really great first part of the showing. Next up, we get to our first game that's not for me, but definitely a really noteworthy announcement and a great get for Xbox, and that is that Persona 4 is coming to Xbox Series consoles in the form of a remake called Persona 4 Revival, and it is out on February 18th. As is the case with everything in this direct, it is a day one Game Pass game, or it's a Game Pass game as everything in this direct was. And obviously this will also be on other platforms. It'll probably be on Switch, definitely be on PlayStation, PC. But listen, I gave Persona 5 the old college try 2 or 3 years ago. You guys might remember. Played a couple hours of it. There were things I liked about it. I liked the opening hours before it started getting all like fucking fantasy-like. I liked the music a lot, but it just wasn't my thing. I know Persona 4 for a lot of people is the best the series ever gets, so this is a big deal for a lot of people, but I just can't be bothered to care. I think it's really cool that Sega and Xbox have a strong relationship where so many Sega games get announced or shown for the first time at Xbox events, and I love seeing that continue. I still love to think about the alternate future where what if Xbox pursued buying like a Sega instead of like an Activision. I think we could be in such a better place. However, whatever. It's cool to see that they have a continued relationship, because my thing will always be that, to me, Xbox was the spiritual successor to the Sega Dreamcast. So it's like, if you were a Sega guy, if you played Genesis and in Saturn and Dreamcast and everything, once Sega gave up on hardware, I feel like Xbox was kind of the natural place to progress. And so I love to see that, something that was really started in the Phil Spencer era, to kind of like rekindle a relationship with Sega that was kind of lost after the first Xbox generation. I love to see that that's still kind of going strong, and that despite the fact that Japanese games don't perform particularly well on Xbox, and despite the fact that PlayStation players are probably a lot more enthusiastic about something like a Persona 4 Revival, just the fact that Xbox still continues to pursue the Japanese market, especially with their friends over at Sega, that this is one that I think makes sense, and it makes me happy, and I'm glad to see it. So that's Persona 4. We'll come back to Persona later. That's the lighter Persona announcement. But then next, we're back to Xbox Game Studios, and we see an extended trailer with deep gameplay for State of Decay 3. Finally. So this game looks like it's healthy. It looks like it's coming along. And they say, hey, boys, 2027. No firm date, but this is next year's game. State of Decay 3 looks good. I actually, if I'm being completely honest with you, I was a little worried about this game, just in the sense that I thought graphically and like visually, it just didn't look all that different from State of Decay 2. So I was just a little bit like, like, it's been so long, and this is what you got. Now, Undead Labs was a really small team when Xbox bought them, and started out, making the first State of Decay as like an Xbox Live Arcade for 360. So it's like, I don't blame that these games have, it takes a long time, it's a small group of people, but it's like, surely they have staffed up to quite, to the point where they're quite a decent sized studio. And I just hate that, like, State of Decay is this game where I'm always waiting for it to become a game that's interesting to me, but every time I see it, I'm like, that's probably not for me, right? I don't like the resource management and the permadeath and all that stuff. Like, I just want to play Left 4 Dead. I just want to shoot zombies in the face and run around. I don't really want to deal with all the inventory management and whatnot. But I know people love State of Decay. I know this is a highly loved franchise, and it's done well when it came over to PlayStation. It's done great on Xbox over the years, and yes, this will be a day one PlayStation 5 release in 2027, according to this announcement. And of course, it'll be on Game Pass. So there you go, State of Decay 3. I'm just very relieved to see that. It's real. It's happening. It's coming. We've seen firm gameplay of it. It looks like it's very far along in development. After so many years of development hell, it's just assuring to know that this is another Xbox game that we won't have to worry about the way we had to worry about fucking Perfect Dark and stuff like that. God, that was so abysmal. All right, so there's that. Next up, we start to get into the beginning of those like obligatory updates. Every summer you're going to get the Sea of Thieves update and the Fallout 76 update. So this is our first one where you can kind of start to, what I call is the pee break. This is your first pee break of the show. If you need to go fill up your water or take a leak, you got Sea of Thieves Custom Seas update. So this is a new update that goes live in a week or so on June 18th. And it allows you to have these custom game tools so that you and the community can like make islands to hang out on, or they show like they build their own ship battle royale type game, or you can make all kinds of like little mini games or custom places to hang out and do things. I think it's cool. I think if you're trying to capture more of the live service crowd, like the Roblox people and the Fortnite people, I think custom game tools have become kind of an essential feature to have. So I understand exactly why they went for this kind of feature update. Does this mean anything to me? Absolutely not. The only time Sea of Thieves has ever really grabbed my attention is when they attempted to do like more single player story driven content stuff, like they did with the Monkey Island or the Pirates of the Caribbean stuff. So it's cool to see, but this isn't it for me. Cool update, whatever. Next up, we get a gameplay trailer for Metro 2039, which was just announced about a month or two ago. Confirming a February 2027 release date. So Metro 2039 around the same time as Fable. That's rough because Metro looks so fucking good. Now that is a Play Anywhere title. I don't know if it's Game Pass or not. if it's a day one Game Pass game. I don't believe it is. But yeah, Metro 2039, obviously this is a multi-platform game. It will be on all major platforms, but Metro has a history of being marketed as and being associated with Xbox, so this is no surprise to see it at Xbox's showcase. And man, this speaking of going through a series again, this one's high on my list. These games were recently on sale and for like $2 each. So I bought them all on Steam and I bought them all on Xbox just to have options. I was like, I might play this on Steam Deck, I might play this on Xbox, I might play this on the ROG Ally. I don't fucking know, but I just bought them all again because I haven't played the Metro games in a long time and I never finished the third one, and I really want to get refamiliarized in anticipation of this game because I think this game looks fucking phenomenal. The graphics look sublime. The atmosphere and everything looks so much more in line with like the first two games. No disrespect to the third game, Metro Exodus. It just wasn't as much for me as these more linear ones were. And I'm just so deeply excited about it. 4A games, Deep Silver. Thank you so much for continuing to invest in this series. I can't wait to get back to go down under the Metro again and see what the fuck Artyom's up to after all these years. So looks excellent. This is another must play for me. Next up, we get our first like smaller indie style game. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. And Bad Magpie. This is a game got a cartoony art style, and you play as a little bird, and it looks like a little indie game with some like puzzle solving and walking around doing some cute little things. I don't know. This game did nothing for me. I'm not going to linger on it whatsoever. It is a day one Game Pass game for Xbox coming out next year. Interestingly enough, it looks like this game's not currently planned for other platforms, that it's just an Xbox and PC game. So there you go. There's some third-party timed exclusivity, it looks like. So that's a good get for Xbox. But again, this is like, to me, with all due respect, I would refer to it as like Game Pass fodder. I don't personally care for this. But next up, they announced Wolong 2, Wings of Ember. Wolong, what was the first one called? Fallen Feathers or something Dynasty? So many of these fucking games. That game came out, 2 years ago? It was pretty popular. It was a big deal. Good get for Xbox Game Pass. This is the Team Ninja developed Souls-like type game. They announced it for early 2027. It will be a play anywhere game and a day one Game Pass game. So this is another great get for Xbox. I know people really liked the first entry. Does nothing for me. I just immediately, my eyes glazed over, and I just wanted to fall asleep fucking watching this. So it's not to say it's a bad game or bad looking game. It's just to say it's not a me game. So there's literally nothing for me to add to the conversation. But that's what was shown next. Followed up by another day one Game Pass game that looks to be of some kind of Game Pass fodder or indie style game called Join Us, which is a new 1 to 4 player game where you move into this town and you build a cult. Looks like there's like some like strategy kind of sim elements of like literally designing and modifying, editing your town and your people. And then there's like actual like gameplay where it's like third person shooter and you're like actually like fighting people who I guess oppose your cult or whatever. And you're basically trying to turn your town. It sounds like there's like a devil in your ear kind of thing telling you to form this cult and to pursue it and to turn all the people of this town, and your job is to kind of like do that and recruit people and fight against those who rebel. It looks like it's a really fun premise, actually. I'll give it that. I think it's a very fun premise. It's just, based on the trailer, I'm like, okay, that's cool. Not for me. There's like a million other games here that I'm interested in, so sorry you don't make the cut. But again, this looks like another smaller indie style game that looks like it's PC and Xbox only. Doesn't look like it's coming to PS5 based on this announcement, so that could be another good get for Xbox. Next up, this was the we teased at the top of the show while making fun of PlayStation, that new God of War game that a lot of people seem to be up in arms about. Ninja Theory showed up. Was not expecting to see Ninja Theory, so I thought that was pretty cool, pretty exciting. I was very, very, very hopeful that Project Mara is like dead and that we're done with Hellblade and that maybe, just maybe, they're pursuing a brand new IP and this would be the reveal of that. But unfortunately, no. They announced a third game in the Hellblade series, and it is simply titled Senua. I call her Senua, but in the game they call her Senua or whatever. Anyway, I wrote down my notes here. I cannot believe they greenlit a third entry. There's no way that sequel to Hellblade made any fucking money. There's no prayer of a chance. That game seemed to have come and gone. It was in development for so long. It was so underwhelming. And I remember saying when I played it, like, hey, I think I actually enjoyed this game more than the first one. The problem is just that it is a game that screams, I did not need to exist. There was no reason to revisit that first game and make a sequel. And now they're doubling down on that sin by making a third one. Now, to this game's credit, you can tell by the trailer, they're very, very, very much trying to telegraph one thing to the audience and one thing only. I think you get a little bit by dropping the Hellblade name, and I think you get it a lot by just watching the gameplay footage, which is that they're saying, hey, this game is not like the other games. It's not as much just walk and listen, story-driven stuff. This game is a lot more combat-focused because it showed tons and tons of combat in the footage, which is so much the antithesis of Hellblade 2, which was shown teased and teased for years and years and years, and all these trailers would just show like fucking Senwa like coming out of the mud, or Senwa freaking climbing through a rock, or crying in her bedroom or whatever. And this trailer like wastes no time and basically just shows her hacking and slashing and killing guys and throwing shit, and it's like, okay, cool, you guys are making another game in the series, but you're taking it in a different direction. You're clearly trying to pursue something that is more gameplay driven and less narrative or experience driven, which I think is the right move, because Ninja Theory was once a prominent third person action melee combat game developer, and they were so good at what they did. And then they made Hellblade, which is a cool deviation, and then they made Hellblade 2, which is like, why the fuck are you still doing this? And I just hope against all odds that this game manages to be something that people actually want to see from Ninja Theory. My only concern, however, is that regardless of how good this game is or isn't, I feel like the IP already has the stink on it. You know, with the first game, there was a lot of respect towards it. It was a lot of like industry, snobbery around that game. And I feel like with the second one, it was very much like, ugh, who wants this? You know, I don't know if it had Xbox stink on it by that point, but I just think it's such a weird decision to greenlight another Hellblade game. But you know, it's by the same game studio that for some reason let Sergeant Johnson be whatever the fuck that new guy is, and allowed the Coalition to abandon Gears 5's ending to go make a prequel game. So I guess we shouldn't be too surprised, but that is what we are getting from Ninja Theory. Cool to see some update on them so soon, though, because just knowing how game development works these days, I really wasn't expecting to see anything that soon from them. So that is the cool thing. All right, let's move on. I don't know how a lot of you guys feel about that stuff, but I hope I'm not angering anyone with it. Next up, another P break. We get our obligatory Fallout 76 announcement. There's a free trial of something and daily rewards, and then there's a thing called Infestations. It's available now. Get out here and go. Dude, shut the fuck up. I don't care. So I kind of wish they just lumped all this stuff together, but they kind of parsed it out, which I guess is, you know, a good way to do it if you want to keep people's attention longer. But we'll have to come back for Elder Scrolls Online, but this was just the obligatory Fallout 76. So we're through Fallout, we're through Sea of Thieves. Now it's just a matter of getting done with Elder Scrolls. However, we keep the ball rolling with Bethesda, and we get something that's actually interesting, which is Doom the Dark Ages expansion content. What's it called? It's called Revelations. It's out July 7th, so in a month, like a month from the day I'm recording this. This is out now, and this will be out, and it looks excellent. It's awesome. It shows like the shield you have from Doom the Dark Ages, and it's like destroyed and stuff, and then you're playing as this other character trying to like track down the Doomslayer, if I remember correctly. And the environments look different. You're in like snow environments and things like that, and you get this new weapon that looks like this magical spear thing that would come straight out of like a Hexen game. It looks fucking awesome. And then there's this weird part for a second in the trailer where it shows like classic old school Doom content, which I'm like, what the fuck is that all about? Want to know what that is. This looks like an expansion for Doom the Dark Ages that probably plays more like a different game. So I'm all for this. I would love to play this because I actually liked Doom the Dark Ages a lot. So definitely keep my eyes peeled for this. As I think it looks excellent. So that was a really fun and pleasant surprise. And again, it's just keeping with this, like this showcase had just banger after banger for the most part. It was pretty good. I think part of what kept it from being like beyond excellent was just the lack of like, whoa, no one ever saw that coming type of announcements. I think that was the big kind of like, not disappointment, but like potential setback, if you want to put it that way. But anyway, I thought this expansion looked really good. Next up, here is a fun one. So again, it's a game that we already knew about, but it's the first time we really saw it. Very exciting to see, and thank God for Sega yet again. But Crazy Taxi World Tour has formally been announced. We knew Sega was reviving Crazy Taxi, but now we've seen it. Comes out next year in 2027, and they showed this game exactly the way they ought to show it, because it plays the fucking song from The Offspring that everyone knows the first game for. Yeah, All I Want by The Offspring. So immediately just feels like fucking 1999 in my head, and we're playing the Sega Dreamcast, or you're at the arcade playing Crazy Taxi. This is so good. It looks good. It looks like they've just taken everything from the original Crazy Taxi and amped it up and made it more like wacky and weird, which I'm totally here for. I don't really understand what that was at the end of the trailer. It looked like he pulls up next to some girl and she pulls out her phone and does a thing, but it looks like it's referencing flying because it says World Tour, so I guess you're going to different cities around the world. But I thought it was a reference to like a girl driving an Uber competing with you as a taxi driver. I was like, oh no, is this game going to have some fucking commentary on like taxis versus Ubering? But no, I don't think that's what it was. It was just a nod to the fact that you'll be going to different locales around the world, and I think this game has potential to be wacky, fun, arcade nonsense, which we so sorely need, because for some fucking reason, game publishers and developers have convinced themselves that wacky, fun arcade games are only allowed to be made by indie developers, and that AAA teams and big name publishers shouldn't be getting involved with this kind of thing. But I'm all here for a Crazy Taxi revival. Last time a game was called World Tour, it was Guitar Hero World Tour, and that's my favorite Guitar Hero. So I am hoping that this is my favorite Crazy Taxi. In any case, I'm very much looking forward to this. What a cool get for Xbox, and a really fun game to look forward to. All right, next up, we got another really fun announcement. This was the only hardware-related announcement. I was thinking that we were going to get the Elite Series 3 controller, which was not here, but we did get one hardware announcement, and it was this. They showed a 25-year anniversary Xbox Series X called the what's it called? It's like called the Xbox Series X 25 edition. It comes out this November. That's all they said about it. They did not talk price. They did not talk anything specific. Just, hey, later this November, which is when the actual anniversary is, this will launch. It is an Xbox Series X with a translucent green casing and a controller to match, and it has the Xbox 25 anniversary logo in the bottom corner on both the controller and the console. But it does not say, hey, this has more or less storage or any other features or benefits that are unique to it. They don't talk about pricing or any of that, so just know that this is obviously going to be expensive because Xbox hardware has shot up, and this is a limited edition special version of the console, so I would not be surprised to see this be $1,000 or so, which is absolutely insane to think about, but unfortunately that is where we've ended up with hardware. So, is this for me? Absolutely not. Is this for probably most of you guys? Absolutely not. I don't really know who this is for, because OG Xbox fans probably don't want to go spend $1,000 on a console they bought 5 years ago for $500. And if you're a diehard Xbox fan that wants the anniversary console, you probably already have an Xbox Series X. So why would you go out and buy this? So don't really know who this is for, but I really respect that it exists because it's fucking cool. But no, it's going to be expensive, so no thanks. But anyway, that's really cool. Next up, they showed an expansion for Age of Empires called Raiders of the North Age, coming out fall 2026. Don't have to really get into that. Who cares? But good for fans of that. Then they showed Minecraft Dungeons 2, which we've known about for a while. They announced it a while ago, and now we have a trailer with tons of gameplay and a release date. So this is obviously a Play Anywhere Day 1 Game Pass game, but it's on all platforms. This will be on PlayStation 5 and Switch 2 and all the rest, which, Minecraft stuff has always been multi-platform. That's fine. I don't think there's anything really to say to that. But Minecraft Dungeons 2 looks good. I liked Minecraft Dungeons 1 quite a bit. My girlfriend and I enjoyed playing it. It's like a Diablo-like. I think playing another one of these games would be a lot of fun. So not much to say about it. The trailer did allude to like this, I don't know, like fucking like ghost type figures like floating around and stuff. I don't really know what to make of that, nor do I really care. But it was a really fun-looking game. It just looked like more Minecraft Dungeons, and I'll be there to ignore the story because who gives a shit, and enjoy the levels because last time they were a lot of fun. And I'm expecting this time to be no different. But that is September 29th, Minecraft Dungeons. A nice variety, really, when you think about it. It's like, okay, Gears of War, Halo, Call of Duty, split up with some Minecraft. We got some Forza, so really, third-person shooter, first-person shooter, lots of online content, more of a legacy game, more of like an all-ages dungeon crawler. We got a AAA open-world racing simulator, like everything. We got arcade racer, I should say. But yeah, we got a little of everything going on this year with Xbox, so it's pretty good. This next one they showed, this was the only like, whoa, what is that surprise game of the whole event for me, because I didn't know about this game. I think this was just revealed for the first time. But they showed off a new game from a new studio called Uppercut Games, or at least a studio I'm not familiar with. And again, shocker, the publisher, Focus Entertainment, a company that keeps finding the coolest games and putting money behind them. And let me fix my misspeak. Uppercut Games, they have created other games before. I'm not familiar with any of these fucking games they've made. Looks like they're mostly a Steam developer. From what I can tell, or maybe mobile developer. This looks like a mobile developer. So this is new for them. Okay, so whatever. Looks like their first real like big boy game. But this game they announced without any more teasing is called Magicians: The Devil's Deal. It was announced for next year, 2027. So coming out soonish, and a day one Game Pass game and play anywhere title. The Steam page for this does list it as a narrative driven FPS, which is big win in my book. I think this game looks fucking awesome. It shows like this trailer where like this is like this marionette like fucking magician weirdo looking show with all the things like the strings and the puppets, but there's also like the magic man, and the guy's talking about making a deal with the devil, but he turns out to be the devil. And there's this guy who you play as in the game, and he's like running for his life because I guess he's like some failed magician or something who made a deal with the devil. And you're running around, you're shooting all these like crazy lunatic people that presumably the devil has sent after you. And it looks very the game reminds me of a lot, just aesthetically, is like We Happy Few, or anything from Compulsion Games, actually. So We Happy Few, or what was that game that Compulsion made, their first game before South of Midnight? Contrast. There we go. Fuck it, that was driving me nuts. So it kind of looks like Contrast, but it's a first person shooter and it's a story driven game. So I fucking yearn for shit like this. Looks like it has like some magic shooter stuff, some gun shooting stuff, and it looks like a lot of fun. It looks very creepy and unique and one of a kind, and I just wish we had more games like this. So here's hoping that this game ends up being cool. It's from an unproven studio that makes iPhone shit, but the game looks awesome. It's a day one Game Pass game. Looks like it's a perfect game to try if you're a subscriber, but something I'm definitely, as long as the game continues to show well the next time or two we see it, this will probably be a day one game for me because I'm very curious with what we saw. Now, this next game they showed really disappointed me because it looked so cool. It showed so cool. And then I looked it up for a brief second after the event ended, and I found out, fuck, it's a Souls-like game. But anyway, it's called Valor Mortis. It is a game that's being published by Lyrical Games, which is actually a movie studio that this is their first game they're publishing. And it's being developed by One More Level. I don't know what they're known for, if they've done anything before, but Valor Mortis is, I guess it's been announced. I wasn't aware of this game's existence, but it was given a release date at this event of September 24th. So it's out in just a couple months. It's a day one Game Pass game. It's a play anywhere title. And this will probably be multi-platform on all the platforms, but it looks really good. And this is where we're seeing it. But yeah, it shows like melee and gun first person combat. But it is a Souls-like action RPG, which is how they describe it. So not for me, but aesthetically this game looks awesome, and it takes place during the Napoleon era, and they have some notable actor voicing Napoleon, which I don't know who it is. I don't know what they're known for. I just saw at the end of the trailer they were showing off about that, but it does look like one of those games that's definitely like trying to position itself a little more cinematic while also trying to be a Souls-like, which is an interesting combination. But yeah, kind of like Liza P. It's one of those things where I'm like, oh, this looks awesome. Yeah, it's a Souls-like, not for me. But this looks very much like it's in that vein. For those who love Souls-likes, maybe you'll get a kick out of this game because it does look pretty fucking good. But yeah, it's not it for me. Next up, we got Elder Scrolls Online. They had to show their obligatory annual update. This one's for the Thieves Guild update, which comes out July 8th, so about a month from now. Nothing really to say about it other than that. And then we start to get towards what I'd say is like the last quarter of the show. And honestly, pretty much everything we have to talk about here is pretty fucking great. Starting with, well, almost everything. But yeah, starting with Flight Sim, which, this isn't for me, but I thought this was a really cool update in celebration of the 250th anniversary of the United States coming up this July 4th. There's going to be an update coming out. I guess it's going to be available on July 4th. But it adds national parks. So like Yosemite and fucking Smoky Mountains and Grand Canyon and all that shit, Mount Rushmore and stuff. And you can like fly over all of it. In addition to that, they announced that there's an air racing update coming later in the fall. So again, that's not really for me, but I thought it was a cool update for people who do love this game. I think that's interesting content, but just not for me personally. Next up, this is the only game left to talk about that's really like something where I'm like, I don't really care, but it's Where Winds Meet. This game's been available for about a year now on Steam, I want to say. I think it's also already on PlayStation. I could be wrong about that, though. But this was surprise announced and released today for Xbox, so it's available as of the time you're listening to this. If you're a Game Pass subscriber, you can not only play it now, but you also get certain benefits for being a Game Pass subscriber. But Where Winds Meet is this Chinese-developed free-to-play RPG game. I don't know. It's not like one of those MiHoYo games in terms of like look and who the developer is, but it is kind of in theory like capturing a similar market. And to me, it's like that's just not for me. But whatever. More stuff available for more Xbox players is a good thing. So for those who might be interested, go look that up if you like anime titty RPG games. Although this one's more of a realistic art style, not an anime style. But anyway, you get the idea. Next up, we got a release date for Castlevania Belmont's Curse, which was only announced a couple months ago. But yeah, October 15th, 2026. This is being developed by the Dead Cells. What are they called? Supermassive? What are they called? No, it's not them. I don't know. The guys that make Dead Cells, though. This is their game. In conjunction with Konami. And this is the first Castlevania game in like a long ass time. So this is pretty notable. I think it looks cool. It's got this 2.5D cell shade like kind of art style to it. Not very traditional Castlevania, but still, I'm sure Castlevania fans will be so grateful to have this over nothing. I've never really gotten into Castlevania. I'm sure I'd like them. I love Metroid games, so I'm sure more modern Castlevania games in particular would probably speak to me. I just never really made the time or made the attempt to get into them, but I know obviously this is a very storied and important franchise and that this will please a lot of people. And I do think the game actually looks considerably cool based on the trailers we've seen now. But this next game they showed was fucking awesome. Like, this game has such a breathtaking art style and it's very captivating to watch. It's called what's it called? It's called Vivarium, developed by a team I'm not familiar with called Serenity Forge, and it is it is like a, how do you want to put it? I don't know if it's like an Animal Crossing like, but it is somewhat of a life sim style game. But it has this like Studio Ghibli adjacent Japanese like 80s, like 1980s animation, Japanese animation look to it. So like, like if you're one of those people who loves Cuphead because of its unique art style or something like that, or Mouse Detective PI or whatever, this is another one of those games where it's like, it's all about that art style, baby. But coming out next year, and no mention of PS5, it seems like this is possibly a timed exclusive for Xbox and PC. It's a day one Game Pass game to boot. But this game looks fucking awesome. Like, I'm very, very interested in playing this. You can see the HUD, the little HUD you got going on looks very similar to like an Animal Crossing style game. Yep. Yeah, Serenity Forge. Let's see, who's publishing this game, actually, just while we're here. No, Serenity Forge is the publisher, my bad. Studio Meadow Flower is the developer. Let me see if they've done anything, because I'm not familiar with that name at all. Yeah, so this is their first game. Just looks absolutely stunning. It's one of those games that's like entirely about the vibe. Like, you just want to play it because it just evokes a certain feeling and look, and that just makes you really, really, really want to just live in this world for a little bit and chill out. Like a little bit of like a Totoro meets fucking Ponyo look to it, but with a very 1980s Japanese hand-drawn animation style. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving the way this game looks. It even has like kind of a grainy filter over it to look like an older movie, which is just so awesome. But yeah, it looks like you just live around this town and you talk with the people that live there, and you go to the shop and you fish and you work on your home and you just do like little life sim type things. which I'm all about, honestly. Let me see if it says anything in the Xbox posting here. Yeah, it says, beneath the nostalgic atmosphere of this close-knit town lies a hidden truth. Explore a perfect, quote-unquote, perfect pocket world to reveal its secret and progress through a non-linear narrative shaped by your choices. So it looks like there is some narrative, some game to it, actually. Dynamic storylines. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what all this game is. It looks like it has some kind of, like, life sim, Animal Crossing style stuff, but it's also a little bit like a narrative game. So I'm all for it. It looks fucking awesome. But that is Vivarium, coming out next year in 2027. I will be there for that game day one, no doubt. Next up, we got what was probably the biggest surprise announcement, although there were rumors leading up to this event that this would be shown here. To me, this does nothing, and I think, honestly, the way they revealed it is pretty fucking disappointing, but we talked about Persona 4 at the top. Now we have the official reveal of Persona 6, which should be a surprise to absolutely nobody that they're making a Persona 6. The unfortunate thing is all they did was show like a teaser trailer with like the logo, and that was it. Nothing. We didn't see the characters. We didn't see the world. We didn't see a cinematic. We didn't see anything. It was just a logo tease for Persona 4, which will be a day one Game Pass, which is a huge get for Xbox, and a Play Anywhere title, but literally showed nothing else. Notable because Persona was like the only Sega thing that wasn't really Xbox aligned. In fact, Persona 5 Royal came to PlayStation 5 and was exclusive there came to PlayStation 3 and 4 and was exclusive there for a pretty long while before it ever came to Xbox. So the fact that we gone from Persona 5 finally came to Xbox to Persona 6 was announced at Xbox's stage and is a day one Game Pass game really shows that evolution of that Sega and Microsoft relationship. I think for Sega, it's probably easy. It's like, hey, nobody buys our fucking games on Xbox, but Xbox gives us a lot of money to promote our games on their platform and to put our games on their service. So let's just take the heaps of money that we get from them for marketing and Game Pass and then sell all of our copies on PlayStation and Nintendo where people actually play our games. And that's probably the way that relationship works, in all honesty. But as an Xbox fan, I appreciate the effort to keep the Sega stuff alive. But yeah, I thought that was pretty fucking lame. It's like, this is like an Elder Scrolls 6 thing where it's like, if all you're going to show is the logo and a teaser like that, just don't even bother showing it. We're busy. We have enough games to be excited about. We don't need this. I understand people want to know about the next Persona game, but like, if you really have nothing to say or show, then don't say or show anything. You know, it's as simple as that. But I know, whatever, people still find a way to be excited about this, so good for them. Happy for those kinds of people. But next up, we get another game that was strongly rumored to be revealed at the showcase, one that I was actually excited about and was very pleasantly we're very pleased to see come to fruition, and that was Spyro: A Realm Reborn. This is a brand new Spyro game from developer Toys for Bob, who's long been working on the Spyro and Crash Bandicoot series, really beginning with like the Skylanders games dating back to the early 2010s. This game is going to be a spring 2027 game. It will be a day one Game Pass and a Play Anywhere game. This one's a little bit of a weird one because, as you'll remember, when Xbox bought Activision, they pretty much immediately let Toys for Bob just kind of go off and be independent. They're like, yeah, we don't really have any need to own you. We don't, whatever. You guys can go fuck off and do your thing. However, let's make a game together. And so they went into an agreement immediately where Toys for Bob's like, okay, we're going to make a game for Activision, now owned by Microsoft. And the rumors for the longest time have been, they're either going to make a Spyro game or a Banjo-Kazooie game. And lo and behold, here they are making a Spyro game. I hope after this they go to make a Banjo-Kazooie game and then continue to work with Xbox. But I don't think this one really surprises anyone. But it's exciting because Spyro was a game I fucking loved growing up. I loved 3D action platformers. I loved Insomniac games. The original Spyro trilogy to me are just some of the best games ever. And then Spyro had some like mediocre to decent games on like the PS2 Xbox original, back during like the Universal Vivendi days, the THQ days of making like Spyro and Crash games. But we really haven't had like a true high quality, legitimate Spyro game in quite a while. I mean, Enter the Dragon was like, not Enter the Dragon. What was the one on PS2? Whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. There were some okay ones, but like, it's been a long time since we've had like a true Spyro. So much like how Crash got Crash 4, It's About Time a few years ago, Spyro is getting his chance at like what I would consider to be like a true Spyro 4. And that is very exciting. Now, I fully expect this game will be available on all platforms, and they announced so, I believe, here. But still, I mean, it's great that Xbox is helping bring to reality a new Spyro game. And how weird it is that Spyro went from being a PlayStation thing to a third-party thing to an Activision thing to an Xbox thing. It's just so weird, but very exciting nonetheless. Now, a little disappointed there's almost no gameplay shown in this, except at the very end it shows him like zooming through the sky, flying through some rings. But other than that, there's pretty much no gameplay shown. So I very much look forward to seeing more of this soon, because if it's coming out spring next year, that means probably by this fall, by the Game Awards or something, you want to show some legit gameplay of it. But yeah, I'm pretty hyped for that one. Spyro looks awesome. And then next, they showed what is, of course, my most anticipated game, period. Not just for Xbox, but in all of the games industry. My number one most anticipated game, and has been for a while now, Clockwork Revolution. And finally, we got a really extensive trailer with tons of gameplay, tons of story. I am more than satisfied with what I've seen of this game. I don't give a shit if we get one more trailer for it. I just want the game to come out. So don't really need to get into all that. Yes, they showed a little bit more about like how the time travel stuff plays into the game, both narratively and mechanically. And they showed a lot more of like the characters and stuff. I think the world they're building here is so rich. It's so interesting. It's so like in Exile, as someone who has fallen in love with these guys after playing Wasteland. I'm just so excited to see them put together a real high budget AAA first party 3D game like this. So I'm so excited about this game. But yes, they dropped the big announcement. So at the end of the trailer, it ended like they all do by saying coming in due time. You know, instead of saying coming soon or 2027, they always end their trailers with this little cheeky like coming in due time. But then this one, it ends, it says coming in due time, and then it stops, and then like the gears start like breaking and shifting and fucking up, and then it says coming in 2027. And then they start fucking up and breaking up again, and then the gears all shift. And then it says Xbox console exclusive. I'm like, oh, fuck, man. Like, this is, wow. Not just Gears of War, but also this. This is going to be a console exclusive. And I think this is a great one because Clockwork Revolution, I don't know if it will be. I fucking doubt it will be the hit that I think it probably will deserve to be, because we live in a world where there is no rhyme or reason to what makes a game pop off. You know, it's like, dude, say what you will, and I'm not saying anything bad about you if you're a fan of Elden Ring. You can be the biggest fan of Elden Ring. I got nothing but love and respect for you. Good for you. I'm glad that game exists and you love it. But you can't tell me for one fucking second that anyone in this world could have seen Elden Ring from a mile away and said, oh yeah, that's the game that all my coworkers are going to be obsessed with in 2 months. Like, there's just no way leading up to that game's release that anyone thought there was a prayer of a chance of that being the case. But that game ended up being the fucking biggest game at the time. And then the same thing with Baldur's Gate. It's like, there's nothing about that game that suggested that was going to be a mega smash hit success. So all I'm trying to say here is there is no real easy way to tell these days when a game is going to hit real hard and when a game is going to fail, or just kind of fly under the radar and do okay. I think Clockwork Revolution looks like a game that absolutely should be a water cooler moment game, a drop everything, like, guys, pay attention, look at this game kind of moment. That being said, especially being a console exclusive to Xbox, pretty much all but confirms it won't be that, because God knows everyone hates Xbox. And also because I guess we just want to play the fucking games with the swords and the nipples. But that being said, I think this game has massive potential to be like a huge critical darling and possibly a huge commercial success, but most likely just like a commercial failure and a critical success. I think that's more likely to be the case. That being said, if by some weird grace of God, this game ends up actually kind of popping off and being a huge hit, if it's a console exclusive, if you can only play on an Xbox and PC, that's a huge boon for Xbox. I feel like this is the kind of game where it's like, you would want to make something like this exclusive. I could see why you make Gears of War multi-platform, because you want to expand that online reach, that multiplayer reach. But like Clockwork Revolution, this is exactly the kind of game you want to hold close to the chest and say, fuck you, PlayStation. This is exclusive to our platform. So that when people are talking about how good it is and how good the story is and how fun the game is and how unique it is and how interesting the world is, that people will go, I want to play that. And it's like, well, get a fucking Xbox, you stupid motherfucker, over there playing fucking Clash of Clans on your PlayStation 4 like a dumb bitch. So I don't know, man. I think this game looks phenomenal. I continue to be incredibly excited about it. It is my number one most anticipated game, has been for a while, and 2027 is our fucking time to shine, man. I cannot wait to play this fucking game. So, console exclusive, man, that puts, I'm not going to lie, man, I've changed my tune quite a bit on the console exclusive over the years, and after the past year or two, really living with the reality of Xbox just kind of fucking middle fingering people like me, and then trying to, like, wanting to have this comeback, it's a good feeling. I'm not going to lie. It's not that I don't want people on PlayStation to have access to great games. Like, I want everyone to be able to play Clockwork Revolution if they want to. It's just like, it's just simple logic. It's simple math. If you take the games away from Xbox and make them available everywhere, you incentivize people to not buy an Xbox. And as someone who wants to see Xbox continue to exist and thrive in the way that we've known it for the past 25 years, it's like, I would like to continue to have console exclusives to justify this console's existence. And to see something so notable and prominent and exciting like Clockwork Revolution be one of those games, that's really exciting. Like, I think that's a great get. And it's one of those things that kind of instills a little bit of like pride and excitement and justification for being a part of this ecosystem, for lack of a better term, like just being honest. But man, and here's the thing is, like, in the grand scheme of things though, as we start to round this off, because there's really only one more thing to talk about. In the grand scheme of things, what drives me nuts here is it's like, all right, we got 2 exclusives, right? This year, if you're an Xbox player, you got Gears of War E-Day. That is your console exclusive, okay? And then next year, if you're an Xbox player, Clockwork Revolution. That's your console exclusive. You look over at PlayStation, it's like, that's not much fucking different from what they got because they're too busy canceling goddamn Doomcraft or whatever the fuck they're making over there every 5 minutes. They got Saros and Wolverine this year. They got God of War next year or the year after that. It's like they have no fucking games over there on PlayStation. So when I hear people say, like, I don't even understand why you buy an Xbox, all the games are on PlayStation, it's like, what are you talking about, brother? Are you talking about Persona? That's on Xbox and PlayStation. You talking about Crazy Taxi? That's on Xbox and PlayStation. You talking about Call of Duty? That's owned by Xbox. That's on both platforms. You're talking about that new Plague Tale game? That'll be on everything. You're talking about that new Sea of Thieves game? That'll be on everything. Fuck it. Let's go over to Summer Game Fest. You're talking about Resident Evil? That's on everything. You're talking about Cuphead? That's on everything. Alien Isolation? That's on everything. Assassin's Creed? That's on everything. Star Wars games? That's on everything. It's like, you get my point? Why do people act like Xbox has no games and PlayStation has all the games when PlayStation's first party output in the past generation has grinded to a fucking halt? It's like PlayStation's relationship or willingness to put out a first party console exclusive game this generation is like similar to the likelihood of my grandmother and my grandfather having sex for the first time in 30 years, which, spoiler alert, my grandpa's dead. It's like, it just doesn't happen at this point. But somehow Xbox is still holding the baggage from 10 years ago that Xbox has no games. Meanwhile, Xbox is like, we're putting out Gears of War, we're putting out Fable, we're putting out Halo, we're putting out State of Decay, we're putting out a new Hellblade game, we're putting out a Spyro game, we're putting out Clockwork Revolution, we're putting out Modern Warfare 4. It's like, they're putting out games left and right all the goddamn time. We're putting out another Doom game. We're updating Fallout. We're putting out games faster than you can fucking poop your pants, you stupid baby. But somehow the narrative is that, oh, well, if you want a platform that has all the games, go buy a PlayStation. It's like, dude, it might not seem like a lot for Xbox to only have 2 first-party games that are console exclusive, Gears of War and Clockwork. But just having those 2 games be console exclusive and still putting all the rest of your games on PlayStation still puts Xbox in a position where it has about as many annual console exclusives as PlayStation does, because PlayStation just really puts out that few games these days. So I just don't buy this bullshit argument where it's like, well, there's no point to have an Xbox because they just don't have games. It's like, PlayStation should be so lucky that Xbox is here to give them the games they do have in the first place. Obviously, PlayStation can, and in the long term, I think will turn the ship around and go back to having a higher output of games once they pivot to making video games again, not just shitty Fortnite cash grab games that they cancel right at the finish line. But for the long time being, which is pretty much the entirety of the PlayStation 5 generation, their output has been laughable. So I don't want to hear this like, why would you buy an Xbox? All the games are on PlayStation. Suck my fucking dick. Like hell they do. All right. So I just want to put that out there because that was driving me nuts. I'm like, wow, they literally announced that 2 Xbox games will be console exclusive, and it's the most like exclusive games we've had from Xbox in years. And it's still more games than PlayStation has. But anyway, whatever. They rounded out the show with something that was a pretty controversial decision. I think this is what left a bit of a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths, which is that the last thing they showed after Clockwork Revolution to round out the showcase was Modern Warfare 4. Now, let me preface, I agree with the complaints that ending on Call of Duty is a bad idea. It was a bad idea last year when they did it with Black Ops 7, and it was a bad idea this year when they did it with Modern Warfare 4. I think this is a bad idea. They need to stop doing this. Call of Duty is something you can just slap in the middle of the presentation. Hell, if you want to make it like the opener every year, that's fine too. You can open with Call of Duty every year and get away with it. But closer is always supposed to be the, and one more thing kind of game. We want an announcement for a game that nobody knew about. We want to see a game that nobody thought was coming or that people could only hope was coming. So even though Call of Duty makes more money in a week than the entire Spyro franchise has ever made in its goddamn existence, I think ending on a game like Spyro would have been better than ending on a game like Call of Duty, because the point of the last game you show isn't to be the game that's going to sell the most amount of copies. It's to have the game, the announcement that is the biggest surprise of the show. So you end on something like Persona 6, you end on something like Spyro. You don't end on Modern Warfare 4, because even though I personally think Modern Warfare 4 looks badass, even though I personally don't mind ending on Call of Duty because I love Call of Duty and I look forward to it every year, I totally understand for the majority of people why it's kind of lame and disappointing and anticlimactic to end on Call of Duty, because that is a given. That's like ending, it's selfish to assume there's a tomorrow. You could die at any point. But, for the most part, we're selfish humans and we all kind of assume the sun's going to come up tomorrow. But if you tell me tomorrow we're going to have ice cream for dinner, I might be a little more excited, because it's like, yeah, well, I was already expecting the sun to come up tomorrow, but I had no idea we were having ice cream for dinner. So that's kind of the difference. It's like, don't tell me that Call of Duty's coming out this year, because I know the sun's coming up tomorrow. Tell me we're having ice cream for dinner, because that's exciting. That's something that we can get behind. And I think that's really what that kind of, the frustrations with showing Call of Duty at the end comes to. I think it's wild that Xbox didn't learn from that last year with Black Ops 7 being the closer and pivot, especially because they didn't really close with Modern Warfare 4. They already revealed and showed Modern Warfare 4 a couple weeks ago. They closed out with Modern Warfare 4 DMZ mode, which is their extraction shooter mode. That's an incredibly questionable thing to do, because it's like, what the fuck? We get it. Arc Raiders was really popular and you guys got burned last year and you really want people to try this DMZ mode. No disrespect, I played a little bit of DMZ mode on Modern Warfare 2 a couple years back. It was fine, but like, this was not the move. And I say that as someone who was personally okay with ending on Call of Duty, because I think this game looks phenomenal. Hate all you want, say what you want about Call of Duty. Modern Warfare 4 looks like it's going to be a fucking killer game. I'm way more hyped for that than Grand Theft Auto 6. I don't care if we've had 13 Call of Duties in the time since the last Grand Theft Auto game. I think this game looks awesome. Still, really anticlimactic, kind of tone deaf, unable to read the room kind of situation, ending on not just Modern Warfare 4, but more specifically the third mode of Modern Warfare 4, with the pillars being your campaign and your multiplayer, and then DMZ being like the third mode, like your zombies mode. It's like, that was a bad move. It's just a bad move. For me, it kind of worked because I love Call of Duty, but I totally understand why 99% of people are like, that was a pretty weak ending. I agree. But that was the Xbox showcase in a nutshell. I mean, we have 28 games that were shown. We have 2 Xbox console exclusives, like first-party game console exclusives, 1 hardware announcement. This is huge, man. And it highlighted, so like, this is kind of what 2027 looks like for Xbox so far. We got Fable, State of Decay 3, a new Hellblade game called Senua, Spyro the Dragon coming back, and Clockwork Revolution. And then, of course, Call of Duty 2027, which will probably be, I don't know, I think the rumor is it will be a new sub-series from Sledgehammer Games. So there we go. That's our 6 games we know about for sure for next year, coming from Xbox first-party teams. That's already pretty fucking excited. Now, Let's talk about like the elephants in the room. Here are the things that it's like, whoa, why didn't they show this or talk about this? Where was this game during the showcase? We didn't see Blade. I was pretty convinced we would see Blade from Arcane Leon by now. So I'm a little surprised with that. If we don't see this game by next summer, I think we got serious cause for concern. But Blade was not there. That was pretty disappointing. Elder Scrolls 6, I know a lot of people were expecting to see it this year. I personally wasn't expecting to see Elder Scrolls 6, so I'm not personally disappointed, even though I want to see this game, because my expectations were just set to where I didn't personally think it was likely we would see this. So that's just all there is to it. The 25th anniversary details. I thought we'd get something on 25th anniversary details with that coming up in November, because, you know, Xbox doesn't really do Gamescom that much anymore, which is in August. And then, you know, the Game Awards is in December. So it's like, when are we going to announce? Like, what are we doing for the 25th anniversary? Is there a special extra showcase? Is there a special Xbox event? Is it a fan fest thing? Like, give us the details. We want to know specifically what to look forward to as we lead up to November and hit the 25th anniversary of Xbox. So that was weird. I was pretty sure we were going to see those Xbox Elite Series 3 leaks, as well as that mobile controller that leaked a couple weeks back. We didn't see any of that. So no hardware other than just the 25th anniversary Xbox Series X with controller that was shown. No Fallout remake. There's heavy rumors that we'd get a Fallout 3 remake. That did not come to fruition, which I thought was a pretty sad one. I think if you could have somehow had Blade and Fallout 3 remake in this presentation, I think this presentation would have been like an A+. It would have been like an easy fucking win, because it's missing like a game or two where, I don't know, maybe Perfect Dark could have gone. But yeah, that was to me really the only like meh feedback. Now there is one more thing that wasn't here, or like two more things that weren't here that I was really, really, really hoping for, that I still think there's a good chance we get, but it's at some kind of Xbox 25th anniversary event later in the year, maybe in November. But it was this 1-2 combination of like some mention of backwards compatibility being expanded to PC, so we can play our console libraries on PC on the Xbox app, paired with Activision games being brought back, relicensed for backwards compatibility, because, you know, the news has been that these games keep getting like re-pinged on the store, like relicensed or whatever on the store, like Ninja Turtles and Transformers and Spider-Man games and stuff like that. Like, listen, if they came out and one of the big announcements was like, your entire Xbox 360 catalog is now available to play on the Xbox for PC app. Also, this list of games that was created, these lists of Activision games that are no longer accessible have been renewed and are now available on Xbox and PC again for the first time, in some cases for as much as like 15 years. And it's like, we got like Spider-Man, fucking Ultimate Spider-Man and Friend or Foe, and we got fucking X-Men Origins Wolverine by Raven, and we got freaking War for Cybertron. Like, give it to me. Give me all that shit. Make it backwards compatible so I can play it on my ROG Ally, my PC, and my Xbox, and then of course in 2027 or 8, play it on my Project Helix. So I think these are things that are probably still coming, but they're either going to talk about them at an Xbox anniversary event later this year, or they will talk about them as we near closer to the actual announcement and details and launch of the Project Helix console. But I was pretty disappointed not to see those there, because even though, you know, it wasn't a guarantee, it was just what I was really, really hoping for. So that's kind of where I fall on like what was absent, what was there, what worked, what didn't work. But overall, for me personally, just in terms of like looking at this slate of games, like, I mean, go down the list again, add 28 games. Gears of War, that's for me. Fable, that's for me. Halo, that's for me. Plague Tale Resonance, like, I want to say it's for me. It looks like a game for me, so I'll count it. State of Decay 3, probably not, unfortunately. Metro 2039, that's for me. Senwa, I'll probably play that because I'm an idiot. Doom Expansion, that's for me. Crazy Taxi, that's for me. Minecraft Dungeons, that works for me. Magicians, the Devil's Deal, that's definitely for me. Spyro, Clockwork Revolution, Call of Duty. I mean, that's like 12, 13 games out of 28 games shown that I'm like, oh yeah, I'll play that. You know, and like to me, it's like that's a fucking great showcase. Remember, the idea of these showcases is that there's a little bit of something for everyone. So if you can walk away from a showcase saying, hey, there was like 3 to 5 games that I'm interested in, that's a pretty good showcase. In my case, there was over a dozen games here for me. So like to me, I'm like, yeah, that's easily a B plus. I think what could have made it like an A plus again would have been like if Blade was there or Elder Scrolls was there, or there was a mention of PC backwards compatibility. Another thing that could have made it, I think, a better show was if there was like some new first party announcement that hadn't been revealed. Like we had a great lineup of games, but we already knew about Gears, we already knew about Halo, we already knew about Fable, we already knew about State of Decay 3, we already knew about pretty much everything from Xbox that was here. The only thing from Xbox that we didn't really already have confirmed and announced was Spyro. So, I mean, really, there's not anything like, whoa, we didn't know about that. And I don't really know why they announced Minecraft Dungeons at the Minecraft Fest or whatever, like a month or two ago, because that could have been a surprise announcement here at this event. But in any case, there was no like big, like, AAA, like, whoa, first party's working on what now kind of announcement. And I think that could have helped take it to the next level. But all in all, you know, this was not, in my opinion, the best Xbox showcase. They've had stronger ones, but this was definitely a very, very strong showing. And I think in terms of the things it got right and did well, I think it did a really good job of kind of telegraphing to a lot of the Xbox core audience, like, hey, just hang in there. We got a new regime in charge. We're here to make some changes. We can't promise you you're going to like everything we do, but we can promise you that we are trying to change things to get Xbox into a place and into a position where it is much better off than where it's been the past few years. We see that things aren't ideal. We're trying to do something about it. Here's a bone. You know, like, and to me, as a diehard Xbox fan, as someone who is looking and waiting and yearning for the excuse for Xbox to get me back deep into their good graces, like this was a pretty satisfying event. Wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was pretty darn good for what it was. So I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty satisfied. With that said, I'm going to take a quick, actually, might take a lengthy water break. I need to go fucking drink some water and rest my voice for a bit. But then we'll come back and we'll talk all about Summer Game Fest, and then we'll round out with some comments and things like that. So yeah, thank you guys. Hope you're enjoying the show so far. Be sure to leave comments in the meantime, and I'll be right back to talk about Summer Game Fest. All right, guys, back from a little break there. Finished off the second half of a Jersey Mike's sandwich and drank some water. Feeling good. Now we can hop into the Summer Game Fest, the other big event that took place this past week. This one, I don't think we need to do as much song and dance, like kind of leading into it. So we can just kind of hop right in. Now, I guess, well, I will give this. Generally, these are like 2-hour events. I, for the past couple of years, have felt like the Summer Game Fest has been pretty fucking underwhelming, boring, drawn out, what have you. One of the ways that makes this festival a little... This showcase a little different from like Xbox or PlayStation is that in a lot of ways, Jeff Keighley, the events he puts on are kind of beholden to the advertisement space that gets paid for to be in these shows. So there's always going to be this like obligatory amount of nonsense games, like mobile games and stuff that get these ridiculous ad spaces, and they're just kind of boring. And you can kind of tell which games are like fun reveals that you're watching because it's like, ooh, exciting a game, and which ones are like, oh, I'm being kind of like fed an advertisement right now. So you can kind of get a feel for it. But I will say, despite the fact that this event is almost always too long, well, no, I'd say always too long. You know, it's a 2-hour event. I think it could be trimmed down to like an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 30 minutes. Despite that, I think they still mostly did a pretty good job with the pacing and everything of this event relative to previous years. Now, just on its own, in its own context, yeah, the event was entirely too long, and towards the end, it really lost steam. But just want to put out there, like, I thought that Jeff Keighley and the team put on a better show, much better show than they have in years past, and it was pretty pleasant to see. So with that kind of more, I don't know, positive tone headed into things, let's kind of go through in order of what all was shown here. Now, I didn't put everything. If a game isn't coming to Xbox, I didn't really include it. If a game looked just painfully like boring and insignificant, I just kind of didn't include it. So it's not everything, but this is mostly everything in order in which it was revealed. So we'll start off with the first thing that was shown, which was Resident Evil Veronica. So this was really exciting because the rumor for a while has been that the next Resident Evil remake that they would do would be Resident Evil, like a remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica, which was a Sega Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 and GameCube Resident Evil game. So it's kind of a more obscure spin-off kind of Resident Evil game, not necessarily a spin-off, but it wasn't a main entry. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of entry. Although in terms of like its gameplay style and everything, it's very much within the regular realm of Resident Evil. Now, I've never played this game before. It was originally released first and foremost for the Sega Dreamcast, before it was later brought to the other platforms. So for a lot of people, I think this is one of the more obscure Resident Evil games that I'm sure the majority of people haven't played, even though it has been ported and brought forward throughout time to other platforms. I think it got brought to Xbox 360 at one point during that console's life cycle. But just to say that this is obviously, one of the lesser played Resident Evil games, and therefore one of the more like, I don't know, just I guess the idea of remaking this is a little more compelling just because it's a first time for most people who will play it. It's an opportunity for most people to experience it for the first time, and for them to reimagine it in a way that is really going to help them present it, I guess, the way they, I guess I should put it like this. You probably feel more empowered to take liberties with a game when you're remaking a game people don't have a lot of possession and passion and nostalgia for, versus like, remaking a game like Halo 3. Like if you remake Halo 3, you better fucking get it right. But if you remake Grab by the Ghoulies, I'll be like, yeah, do whatever you want. Interpret it as you please. That's all I'm saying. And this just seems like one of those Resident Evil games where maybe there's a little more opportunity for them to reinterpret the product. That being said, yeah, the announcement trailer was cool. It looks like a fucking Resident Evil game. It comes out next year in 2027. I will happily be there for it after Resident Evil Requiem this year. I think I've officially crossed the line from Resident Evil Fairweather fan to like hardcore Resident Evil fan. Like not hardcore, but like I'm firmly a Resident Evil fan. So if they make a Resident Evil game, I will come out and play it. I'll put it that way. Now, unfortunately, we now come into this era where the Nintendo Switch 2 is handsomely supported due to the fact that it's a much more powerful console and it can handle mostly everything that's being put out on the other platforms. And so I think I found myself in this situation now where most Japanese games and things like that I just feel like kind of are more at home on a PlayStation Nintendo type of platform. I want to play on my Switch 2. So I'll probably play Resident Evil Veronica on my Switch 2, much like I played Resident Evil Requiem on my Switch 2. I just like the Switch 2, man. I'm feeling it. Listen, I'm really glad I got a ROG Ally Xbox. I'm really like kind of reconnecting with Xbox right now. Things are good with me and Xbox. But I got to be honest, man, my favorite console on the market these days really is the Switch 2. I fucking love that thing. So anyway, moving forward, the next game they showed was another really cool announcement, kind of a doubleheader, really, because Studio MDHR, the guys behind Cuphead, announced that the team is hard at work on a new Cuphead game. In that they said that they're kind of like not in the early stages, but that they're hard at work on it, and they have nothing to really announce specifically about the game at this time. But they said in the meantime, they do have a game called Mighty Cuphead Adventure, which is a new fast action platform shooter game developed by a small team within Studio MDHR. So you got this Mighty Cuphead Adventure game to tide you over while you wait for a more proper Cuphead successor. And what's so cool about this is Mighty Cuphead Adventure, instead of going for the hand-drawn kind of Disney art style that the first game is so known for, Mighty Cuphead Adventure is trying to be like an 8-bit classic 90s platformer type side-scrolling shooter Cuphead style game. And it looks awesome. Like the art for it looks absolutely phenomenal. I cannot like stress how cool this game looks. It looks like a truly 8-bit game, but just with like the most vibrant colors and beautiful juxtaposition of like art style meets retro art, adherence. I'm struggling to say what I'm trying to say, so let me just move on and just say it looks really good. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. It's just because I really struggled with the first Cuphead, but desperately wanted to like it. So I'm hoping that for some reason Mighty Cuphead Adventures is attempting to be something that's a little more accessible. So as long as the previews and the interpretation of this game is that, hey, this is a Cuphead that's a little more accessible for regular people. It's more of a platform shooter and less of a boss boss horde rush whatever mode like the first game is, then I will be pretty interested in playing it. Otherwise, if it's just like more Cuphead, then I will just, appreciate it from afar, as I have had to do so far with this series, because yeah, these games are too hard for my bitch ass. But I like them. I like them a lot. They're really cool. My girlfriend got really into Cuphead. She got way further than I did. Next up, they showed Alien Isolation 2, which had its tease earlier this year. So we knew about this game's existence, but now we got a first trailer for it, which also doesn't really show all that much, but a little more. And they basically just say, hey, the game's coming to Xbox and PC. We're really excited about it. Creative Assembly is back hard at work after 12 years since the last Alien Isolation game. I think people generally really liked Alien Isolation. It got that one like notorious review from Ryan McCaffrey at IGN, but it's like, whatever, man. That was one guy's opinion. Who cares? But people like to hold that against him all the time. But no, I think generally people consider this to be one of the best Alien games, if not the best Alien game, and for it to be a pretty faithful interpretation of the IP adapted properly for video games. And we get little glimpses of the game in engine, and it looks like Alien Isolation, but a new one. So I know this is something that's got Cronky super excited, and that there are lots of people out there who have been hoping for the longest time that we would get something like this. So I'm just happy for those folks that this is happening. Alien will continue forevermore to be this IP where it's like, I'm pretty sure I would love Alien if I would just watch one of the movies or play one of the games or whatever, but I never make the time to give this franchise a try. But I'm pretty fucking sure I'd love Alien if I just played or watched one of these fucking things. But anyway, that's Alien Isolation 2. Next up, we got Gen Atlas. So this is the new game from Fumito Ueda, the guy who basically brought Shadow of the Colossus, one of the most heavily PlayStation associated games. The Last Guardian, Shadow of the Colossus, these games. He has a new studio he's working on, and I think it's what he's referring to as basically his last game. But this new studio is making this game called, that had previously been referred to as Project Robot, now has an official title called Gen Atlas, and is being released for Xbox and PC via the Epic Game Store, not through Steam. But this game looks pretty cool. I gotta be honest, Shadow of the Colossus, it's a blind spot for me. I've never played it, and I know a lot of people are more hit or miss, like kind of split on The Last Guardian and Eco and their other games, but Shadow of the Colossus I know is seen as like one of the great games of all time. For me, I don't really feel compelled to go back and play those games, but I do think this game in particular looks a lot more compelling than his previous games he's worked on. It's this like post-apocalyptic sci-fi game, and you play as like this soldier dude, but then you do kind of the Shadow of the Colossus thing. Like you scale these giant monsters, but your monsters are giant mechs, and there's guns involved and explosions and missiles and mech combat and things going on. And I'm like, oh, okay, it looks a little more my speed than what Shadow of the Colossus was. And unfortunately, we don't get like really a whole lot like a lot of gameplay type content to look at here, but it does assume that there will be more like gun related content or like combat, which is something that I would be very excited to experience. You see that in like the 5 seconds of gameplay it shows, where you're on like the back of one of the monsters and there's like these little enemies chasing after you, and a third person shooter like scope in and start mashing them all off the map. So maybe, just maybe, this is a game that kind of speaks to me and ends up clicking, but I think it looks really cool. It's just kind of in that category of like, I'll keep tabs on that. I'll continue to look out for it. Hopefully it turns out to be something I want to really pick up and play. Next up, we got a new trailer for Stranger Than Heaven. This is like the most like actual trailer we've gotten for this game, as we keep getting teases on a pretty consistent basis. So we got this new trailer. The game gets confirmed for a January 15, 2027 release date. So the game has a firm date now. I know Ryu Gagoku's been really excited with Sega about showing this game constantly. They're really confident about it. It's a Yakuza-like game, but set in like a early 20th century Japan. What was really weird about this trailer, and what it got a lot of like kind of flack and discussion around it for, was that the game will feature Tupac and Snoop Dogg and Snoop Dogg was on stage at the Summer Game Fest to talk about that. I guess he's like, oh yeah, we got the permission from Tupac's estate to put him in this game, which is weird that it's like a early 20th century Japanese game with hip hop and fucking Tupac and Snoop Dogg are there, and it's just weird as hell. I don't really know what to make of it. But I am now, I will be honest, I'm now less interested in this game than I used to be, just because I wanted this game to be a little more of a grounded experience from early 1900s Japan, and not for it to be this wacky, zany homage to 90s hip hop or whatever the fuck's going on, starring a dead man. Whatever. I don't have too much to say about whether the inclusion of Tupac is a good thing or a bad thing or not. I just, personally for me, it just doesn't work, and it's something that makes me lose interest in this project. And as I see this trailer, I'm like, well, I got a lot of Yakuza games I still haven't knocked out, so maybe I should go play those before I consider this. So it kind of puts it a little further down the list of like priority list for me to take a look at, because I'm just like, I don't know that what this game is shaping it to be is something that I'm interested in, but whatever. I also just think it's weird that Snoop Dogg's one of those people where it's like society just kind of thinks he's awesome and idolizes him, but he's murdered people. It's like when Chris Brown hit Rihanna, and then it's like, wow, we condemn domestic abusers, right? Like, that makes him a piece of shit person. But then everyone's like, yeah, but his music is good. I'm like, okay, this is how you end up with Jeffrey Epstein's Island for Xbox 360s, because we just turn a blind eye and act like it's totally okay to continue to support and idolize people who are evil. But whatever. He's funny. He does weed and talks funny, so we like him. All right, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resync gets another trailer. There's really nothing to say about that. Again, it's this is the thing about this time of year. It's like, it's not that Stranger Than Heaven doesn't look good. It's not that Assassin's Creed doesn't look good. It's not that Alien Isolation doesn't look good. It's like, you just announced all these games in the past like 6 months or so. So seeing them again and again and again just doesn't make it as exciting. It's like, oh, cool, another trailer for that. Sure. And if you're interested in it, you'll pick it up. I personally don't care about Assassin's Creed, so for me, I see this trailer, I'm like, cool, next, This one's pretty cool, though. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles makes a return with The Last Ronin. The Last Ronin video game, let me look this up. This Last Ronin video game, this is interesting because this game was announced years ago and then kind of went quiet and then came back. And publishers and developers and everything about this has kind of like shifted hands. So this was really a re-announcement of this game more than anything. So at the Summer Game Fest, they basically re-revealed it and said, hey, this game is being published by Paramount Games and developed by Platinum Games. So Platinum Games, who recently worked on Ninja Gaiden 4 and of course are known for fucking Beautiful Joe and 100, 101 and Bayonetta and Nier Automata and all these games, they're making this. So it should be a really good combat, fast action, combat sword, anime style game in terms of its feel and play. So that's pretty exciting. But it's being published by Paramount Games, which is a new publisher that's come through the formation of Skydance. Skydance Games got acquired by Paramount, and so now it's Paramount Games. And so they're kind of taking over for Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra and that Star Wars game that Amy Hennig's working on and this Last Ronin game. And so the publisher has changed through this acquisition. And in the case of this game, the developers changed as well. So this is like a lot of change and new. So you can kind of assume this game is more or less restarted its development at some point in time. But I know this is a beloved story for people who are fans of the Ninja Turtles. It's based on a comic book about where one of the Ninja Turtles is alive and the rest of them are dead, and he's like trying to avenge their killer. It's like a more like M-rated or R-rated kind of Ninja Turtles story, which is pretty cool. I've always been interested in reading the comic. I never have. I've been interested in this game for as long as it's been announced, so I think it sounds pretty cool. It's too bad that because it's a re-reveal, it should just show like concept art and like a teaser trailer. We don't really see the game itself. But I am excited to see what this game looks like once we finally get more of it. And it's really excited to see that the game lives on and persists, because it did really seem like we probably weren't going to get this game. So overall, pretty exciting announcement. One I'll definitely be up for more of as we wait to hear more about it. Let's see. Next up, we get another Gundam game from Bandai Namco called Rogue Orbit. And for some reason, this Gundam game looks unnecessarily cool, way more so than previous Gundam games that have come out. It's planned for next year, for 2027. But damn, like, this game looks really fucking cool. The action looks badass. The graphics look really good. Everything about it is very compelling. Don't really know why they just decided to make a super cool Gundam game out of left field. Not to say any disrespect to previous entries, but like this one just looks a lot more AAA and exciting, and just, I don't know, something you'd really want to look out for if you're an Xbox fan. Let me go back here real quick. Yeah, it looks fucking cool. I'm just skimming the trailer again. Next up, That's No Moon, the guys that a new studio that hasn't had a game yet. They were announced about a year ago, 2 years ago. But it's a team made up of ex-Naughty Dog and Project CD Red developers, so people who made like Cyberpunk and The Last of Us and stuff like that. They have announced their first game, and this was the only announcement this whole week between Xbox and Summer Game Fest and PlayStation that made me like geek out like a little bitch. I am so fucking excited. But they announced that they are working on with Korean publisher Smilegate and Team K1, which I assume is probably the main developer of Smilegate, that they are working on a brand new game set in the Crossfire universe. This is going to be very different for those of you who like Crossfire. Yeah, remember that game that came to Xbox a couple of years ago and was delisted because it was so bad? Apparently it was that online multiplayer game, and Remedy Entertainment did part of the campaign for it. This is not a continuation of that, but it is the same IP. This is like a new attempt, a fresh start at trying to get this IP into the Western world, as this game's been very popular in China and Korea for 20 years. This is just an attempt to try and bring something Crossfire related to the Western market and try to get in there somehow. So this game is actually it looks like a tactical co-op third-person shooter. So very different, because Crossfire is generally more of a like a Counter-Strike clone, or in some cases with some of the newer ones, more modern, Modern Warfare, Call of Duty-esque. So for them to make a third-person, very narrative-driven, tactical co-op shooter game, which is what it looks like they're doing here, this is a very big like left turn for this franchise. But man, I really hope that there's like some really solid gameplay and a very compelling, emotional driven story between these two characters, and that this can be an awesome cooperative military shooter, because it would be so fucking cool to see Crossfire finally find some success in the West, as I yearn for this franchise to be a bigger deal than it is. And also it would just be super cool to get a game like this and have it really come to fruition and be awesome. Knowing that it's got pedigree of like people who've worked on games like Last of Us and Cyberpunk behind it, obviously that's exciting, but you got to remember there's always a new studio that forms with X people from Halo and X people from Grand Theft Auto, and then the game comes out and it kind of sucks. Just because people that worked on Last of Us or people that worked on Cyberpunk have worked on this game does not mean this game is going to be good. But it does definitely help get some attention now, which is why they tout things like that. I am just very, very, very hopeful that this game is good, because right now it's available for wishlist. It's coming to Xbox, and I just fucking want it so bad. So that is probably my biggest excitement from all this showcase week through all these events. Was the news of a new Crossfire game. So honestly, personally, like I know I'm more excited generally about Clockwork Revolution, but like that's a game we already knew about. This is a game that is like a new announcement that I'm just so hyped about. And then this was immediately followed up with another game I'm super excited about, but a game that it's like, all right, man, I've seen this a million times. Like I'm done. You gotta stop showing it. Like just put the game out. But that is Control Resonant from Remedy Entertainment, the new game in the Control universe. That is a narrative sequel to the first Control game, but a gameplay totally new product, which is super fucking awesome. And this game continues to look great, and I continue to not need to see any more of it because they keep showing it, feels like every month or two. So I would say looks great. Let's stop fucking talking about it. Now, Control Resonant, this comes out, actually we have a date for it. I think it's September 24th. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, September 24th. So that, especially that latter half of September, dude, so fucking busy. We're gonna be swimming in shit to play. It's gonna be so much. But yes, I'm very excited for that. Just a couple months away. I'm more than happy to tune out and just wait for that because I don't want to see anymore. I don't want to think about it anymore. I just want to play this fucking game. It looks great. Next up was one that isn't for Xbox, but I just had to point this out because it really frustrated me. But ArenaNet announced that after like 20-something years, they're actually making a Guild Wars 3, which is, I actually used to play Guild Wars 2. I actually liked it. I used to have it on PC when I was a kid. And they said, hey, the game's real. We're making a Guild Wars 3. It's going into beta next year in 2027. But it's only for PC, which of course you assume, and PlayStation? What the fuck? It's coming to console for the first time, and it's not coming to Xbox. It's like, damn, dude. Now, I saw a lot of people be like, well, it won't probably be out for another year or two, and the next Xbox is a PC. So it's like, yeah, but this is where we got to be careful, because just because the next Xbox will be a PC doesn't mean that you don't need to make Xbox PC versions of games. Because if you just make games and put them on Steam, that kills Xbox. And this is the obstacle to overcome for Microsoft as they work on this Helix project, is you want to avoid things like this where someone's like, why is Guild Wars 3 not coming to Xbox? And you're like, well, you can play it on your Xbox because it's on Steam. And then it's like, yeah, but it's not on Xbox's storefront. That's a problem. You don't have a native Windows Xbox Store version of the game. You just have the Steam version. This is a problem, and Xbox has got to get on top of this, because like, I'm already salty right now because I'd try a Guild Wars 3 in a heartbeat if it was on Xbox. I'll probably still give it a try, honestly, on PC, but I'd really like to try it on Xbox. So that is a big problem for Xbox to overcome. I really hope that they see stuff like this and are immediately doing everything in their power to prevent this from becoming a trend, because it's going to become a problem for them if they don't get on top of it. But moving on, next we got another look at Star Wars Galactic Racer, which I know a lot of people are excited about. This game comes out on October 6th. So again, September, October is absolutely fucking nuts this year. But I don't have any interest or love for this game. I think it looks pretty cool, but I know a lot of people are really enjoying it, this like Burnout style Star Wars pod racing game. I think it's cool. I don't know. What do you want me to fucking say? It's a Star Wars racing game. I'm so tired of Star Wars. But it was funny. I guess that there would be at least 2 Star Wars games showed this week, and this was one of the 2. So we'll get to the other one in just a minute. Next up, Sega had a big reveal for their first full trailer for the Virtua Fighter Crossroads, the first game in the series in a long-ass time after they revealed plans for it for this year. So the game is coming out next year in 2027. I kind of zoned out during this. I don't give a shit about Virtua Fighter. If I ever cared about games like this, maybe Mortal Kombat, but I can't. I try, but I can't get into games like this. So to me, I just saw it, so I was like, good for Virtua Fighter fans. Let's move on. Next, Xbox announced that, hey, Grounded 2 is coming to PS5 alongside a new update. So that's disappointing, just seeing more Xbox games go to PlayStation. And then Mafia: The Old Country got the announcement of Man of Honor, a story expansion due out on August 14th, about a year after the game came out. So there you go. I got to play that. Mafia: The Old Country is on that list. I really want to play that game. It looks good. Let's see. After Mafia, we got the trailer for 1666 Amsterdam, which is a game made by Assassin's Creed creator Patrice Desilets. And this is a prologue. There's a prologue or a demo of the game that's available now on Steam. But this game is going to be released. Actually, I don't think this one was an Xbox one, so let's actually just go off on that one. Pretend I never said anything. Bluebird Team announced that they're working on a new Saw game set in the Saw universe, like the horror movie franchise Saw. It is a 3v1 multiplayer game, like those asymmetric multiplayer games that are super popular. Kind of bums me out a little bit because I like Saw. Saw is one of the horror franchises I actually have seen most of, and I would like to play a cool Saw game that's like more like, I don't know, more like, what's that game called? Outlast or something like that. But to know it's a multiplayer 3v1 game like all the other ones doesn't really do it for me. But nonetheless, I don't know. Saw as a franchise has been dormant for a long time, so it's kind of cool to see that. I think were they going to bring the movies back, or did they bring the movies back? I don't know. Anyway, speaking of Star Wars, next up we got Star Wars Zero Company, which this was kind of leaking this release date and stuff on Xbox's marketplace before this event by accident. But the game is officially coming out August 27th. This is that Star Wars tactical game that was shown off about a year or two ago. It's from Respawn and this new company. What are they called again? I forget. But they are basically a team of X people that worked on XCOM. And this game is basically what if we did an XCOM game, but it's Star Wars. And it looks pretty good. And they showed Anakin in the trailer. And yeah, I mean, this is, again, it's like, I'm not going to, if I want to play something like this, I'd play Marvel Midnight Suns. And I fell off that game after like a dozen hours. So clearly this game does nothing for me, but I hope Star Wars fans out there between this game and the pod racing game are finding something compelling and exciting to look forward to for Star Wars, because from what I hear, you guys aren't getting a whole lot that's good these days. So here's hoping. Next up, we saw a new trailer for Blood of Dawn Walker. People keep getting excited about this game. I keep forgetting it exists. I don't think it looks all that good, but it is a vampire RPG. And the game's coming out sooner than I thought. It's coming out September 3rd, which is pretty cool. But they showed a new trailer for it, and I saw people online were upset because apparently they basically acknowledged, like, hey, this new trailer shows footage from the end of the game for no reason. But yeah, I mean, this game, again, doesn't do it for me. I don't feel like we've seen a lot of gameplay. It's always cinematic and tonal stuff. Show me the fucking game, like, in detail. But yeah, I guess it's theoretically cool. It's a vampire, Western RPG style game, so it should be, interesting. It's not for me. All right, next up, they announced that 007 First Light is getting another mission starring Lenny Kravitz again, who plays the main villain in the video game. He's going to reprise his role, and they showed a brief clip of what the mission looked like. Still in the middle of playing this game right now, loving it. I don't know if this is going to be a paid thing or like a free DLC thing, but I'd be pretty interested in it because I'm loving this game right now. It's definitely the game I'm most interested in playing. So Monster Hunter Wilds got the announcement of a new massive expansion called Ascendance. They didn't announce when it's coming out, but they announced that it's in works. So I'm assuming it's a 27 thing, but that's a big deal because the Monster Hunter games, the modern ones, are pretty fucking popular. Next up, we got another surprise fun announcement that really got me excited, and that was the new Hot Wheels game, Hot Wheel Infinite Rush, which launches September 27th. God, there's too many fucking games. But this is made by Milestone, the same people that made the Hot Wheels Unleashed games that have come out the past couple of years. And this game looks even better than Hot Wheels Unleashed. Looks like more of an open world racing Hot Wheels game, and it takes place in like a Hot Wheels city. And it just looks so fucking cool, man. I want to play this game so bad. But god damn it, there's too many games coming out September, October. It's like, how do you want me to play Hot Wheels next to Gears of War, next to fucking Control Resonant, right before Call of Duty comes out? It's too fucking much, man. Next up, Sega showed a trailer for like the Sonic 30th anniversary. And while I wasn't personally too excited about this, I thought we were actually going to get more than we got. The only thing that was really announced was this thing called Sonic Pico Park, which is like some indie developed game with the Sonic IP where you play like these like chibi 8-bit versions of Sonic characters and you work together to get through Sonic levels, like kind of solving platforming puzzles together. And it looks like it's a cooperative Sonic style little indie chibi game. And it's nothing that I'm super excited about, but if it has Sonic on it, I'll probably end up following it and playing it. So I'll keep tabs on it, I guess. But yeah, this is one that was announced. That was really the only Sonic announcement we got, unfortunately. I was hoping for a tease of the next 3D Sonic game. Next, they showed an Attack on Titans game, third entry in that's coming out. It's planned for Xbox and PC with no date. Or I thought it was for next year, actually. I could be wrong. I don't see the date here, but that one, what do you want me to say? Next, we got another trailer for Clutch, which we just got our first look at last week. This is that new racing game from the creators of Forza Horizon, and it is more of a story-driven racing game. So it tries to... It's actually a really cool idea, because if anything, that is like my one criticism of Forza Horizon, is I wish there was more of a campaign or more like narrative stuff, but there's not. It's pretty loose. So the idea of making a game kind of like that, where the cars look a little more realistic and gritty and less like show ready, and then there's like story and characters to it, I'm like, okay, I can get behind that. That sounds kind of cool. Then they showed Wolf Among Us 2, which got kind of re-revealed because this was shown forever ago, but now they're saying it's coming out next year. So for people who liked Wolf Among Us and have been waiting the 14 years or whatever it's been, there's your sequel. Next up, we got another exciting news for Xbox, which is the announcement of a sequel to the game Stellar Blade, which was on PC and PlayStation. The sequel is called Stellar Blade Blood Run, And the new game is set in the same universe, but features a new protagonist. And for the first time ever, the series will be available on Xbox. So while this is set for release next year in 2027, I'm pretty excited because I actually wanted to play Stellar Blade, but I wasn't going to get a PlayStation to play it, although I guess I could play on my Portal. But knowing that Xbox is getting this game is pretty exciting because I thought the first one looked good. I thought this one looks even better because the new character, her combat style is a lot more like frantic and mashy and stuff, and I like Devil May Cry style, Bayonetta style combat, Ninja Gaiden style combat. So I'll take something like that. I heard the first Stellar Blade was fucking awesome, and so yeah, I'd love to play one of these now that it's going to be on Xbox. And then the last game they showed this is kind of the antithesis of what Xbox did. Xbox did like the perfect amount of time for that one last reveal, but dragged it on for way too fucking long. They spent like the last 20 minutes of this showcase going over Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, which has been officially titled Final Fantasy VII Remake Revelation. It's coming out next year, so it's super awesome. It's next February, I think. And it will come to Xbox and Switch day one. Unlike the last two Final Fantasy VII Remake Chapters 1 and 2, which came to PlayStation and then was exclusive there forever before coming to other platforms, this third and final entry, Revelation, will come to Xbox consoles and Nintendo Switch 2 the day it comes to PlayStation PC, which is very exciting. Just because I said for the longest time I won't play Final Fantasy VII Remake until I can get it on an Xbox. And then they finally brought it to Xbox, and I bought it on Switch 2. And I kind of have some regret because I was like, I wish I kind of bought it on Xbox. But here's the problem. It doesn't matter because I don't think I can play Final Fantasy VII Remake. This Revelation one, it looks good. The other ones look good too. The problem is I keep getting told by everyone, you got to play the original Final Fantasy VII before you play this because this isn't like a remake. It's like another parallel story that happens. And if you didn't play the first one, you get so much less out of the story. So I'm like, I have to play a game that's 30 years old that takes 40 to 50 hours to beat in the original Final Fantasy VII. So I can play part one of the reimagining that takes 40 hours to beat on the PS4 or Xbox One. Then I have to play part two, which is a 50-hour part two of this remake. And then I will be ready to play this new part 3 that's about to come out. That's another 40, 50 hours. It's like, I'm not putting 200 hours or whatever into Final Fantasy VII just so I can see what all the fuss is about. Like, that's way too big of an ask. So, listen, I respect and trust the people who say you have to play the original before you play the remake. But all that does for me is it takes this Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I am interested in playing. I own it on my Switch too. I'm curious about even getting it again on my Xbox. It makes me want to take that game and put it all the way to the very last space in my backlog. Because holy shit, that is a huge ask to say you need to set aside 200 fucking hours to find out if Final Fantasy VII Remake's any good. And that just sounds like absolute dog shit to me. So great last game to end on. They lingered on it way too fucking long, but I'm sure it's going to be a huge deal, and it was a good deal for an announcement for showing at this event. But overall, I mean, yeah, we skipped a lot of the fluff and the stuff that isn't coming to Xbox, but the show kind of got worse as it went on, but as you can see throughout the whole event, there were exciting games. For myself alone, I mean, I got Resident Evil Veronica, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, The Last Ronin, Crossfire, Control Resonance, so, you know, and then we got Hot Wheels Infinite Rush, Sonic Pico, and Stellar Blade. So that's at least 7 games. So for me, it's like, dude, if I can walk away from a showcase, especially a non-Xbox or non-Nintendo showcase, and go, wow, there's 7 more games I want to play, that's a pretty good win in my book. So even though we keep seeing Control every 5 days at a different showcase, it's still pretty cool overall to get this collection, and I think this was a good showing. Aside from an eye-wateringly long, boring ending and just some lame-ass anime titty ads throughout the middle portion, I thought overall, Jeff Keighley, great job here, and I hope they're able to continue to do this level and this quality of work on future Summer Game Fest, because I thought this was by far the best they've ever done, and I just hope that we don't have to worry about things shifting and getting really boring again like they were last year and the year before that. But guys, that's really it for Summer Game Fest. So we got the Xbox Showcase, we got Summer Game Fest under wraps. Before we wrap up this show with the listener comments, there's like one news story I want to get to, and this is this story about Ashish Sharma, who was with Bloomberg Tech and did like this video interview And a couple of stories have come out from it, but there's really just one in particular I want to get on here, which is that, let me just read this from VGC. This is their transcription of the video. Xbox CEO Asha Sharma stated that her goal is to make Xbox the number one gaming entertainment company by 2030, within 2030. In an interview with Bloomberg Tech, she stated on 2 separate occasions that the aim was to reach this goal, saying that her mandate is to do so. When asked about how much autonomy she has in making this decision for Xbox, given that its revenues currently aren't high, Sharma replied that the task wasn't necessarily to achieve a specific figure for Microsoft, but to establish it as a leader in the industry. Sharma also pointed out Xbox's recent investment as a sign that it's long-term it's a long-term one that will take time to ultimately pay off. She says, quote, "My mandate," this is important because it's kind of a dig on Amy Hood. She says, "My mandate is not a 30% accountability margin. It's not enterprise software margins. It's to be the number one gaming and entertainment company, and that's where we're going to, and that's what we're going to do." If you think about it, Microsoft has invested more aggressively than nearly anybody in this category over the last 6 years. We've bought Activision, ZeniMax. We've invested in our core platform. We've invested in hardware cycles. We invest in subsidies even when we're losing money because of memory and storage. So we're long on gaming. We're long on Xbox. We'll keep investing, but we've got work to do. You shared the numbers, so that we're not in a healthy spot. So the next 100 days are going to be about resetting the business. Sharma was then asked if Microsoft's decision to acquire Activision Blizzard King for $69 billion was the right one given the mass layoffs, game cancellations, and Game Pass price increases since that all happened, to which she replied, "You inherited this deal," or this is what Bloomberg asked, is, "You inherited this deal. Is it paying off? I mean, I don't know anybody in the entertainment I don't know anyone in entertainment that wouldn't want Call of Duty, which is now grossing more in revenue than the MCU." But Sharma basically says, who wouldn't want to be one of the top 3 apps in the world like Candy Crush? Who wouldn't want to have World of Warcraft? And who wouldn't want a team that for 20 years has been able to create predictable hits every single year? So yeah, I love Activision Blizzard King. Look, it was bought at a time before ChatGPT. It was bought at a time when our strategy was predominantly on the core console. It was at a time where when we were right in the middle of COVID. So it's hard to say how to think about those decisions, but I think these are incredible assets that we intend to continue to invest in them. At the end of the discussion, Sharma was asked what her goal was for Xbox by the time the 2030s arrive. She says, so it's 2030. This is the interviewer. So it's 2030. You've had 4 years to run Xbox. What does success look like? What is true about Xbox that isn't true today? And Sharma replies with reiterating, "I'd love to see us be the number one gaming entertainment company, period." Number one what? In revenue? Okay, that means putting your games on PlayStation, right? Putting your games on PlayStation. So it's a tall ask, and it's funny kind of reading this fresh off the news that they're going to make, Gears of War exclusive along with Clockwork Revolution. So I don't know, man. It's a couple things. It's weird to see her talk about Activision because it's like, dude, anyone with half a fucking brain could tell you that Microsoft probably regrets buying Activision. But that's just the way she has to spin it, right? It's like, oh, we have a predictable hit every year with Call of Duty. It's bigger than the MCU. Who wouldn't want that? It's like, yeah, but all your fucking woes are because you guys bought them. So, in order for them to be the number one in the gaming entertainment company in the world, they have to focus on player counts and engagement and dollar spend. And you're not going to get that from putting more and more games exclusively on Xbox hardware that doesn't sell. So as soon as Asha Sharma and the new regime learn that, putting Gears of War exclusive on Xbox didn't help at all this year because everyone who bitched and moaned about exclusive games played the game through Game Pass anyway. Once they see that be the case, I think it's probably right back to everything on PlayStation. But yes, because they've told us many times, they've said in interviews and in posts, it's about player numbers. It's about the audience size that you can reach and whatever. That tells us that, to be the number one gaming and entertainment company, you're going to have to reach the largest player population you can possibly reach. And so, I don't know, man. It makes me a little nervous because it's like, I understand at the end of the day she's going to say the PR thing she needs to say. And I've been a fan of some of these early actions, but it's just like, oof, I'm a little worried about how we're going to keep doing some console exclusives if we're trying to be the number one gaming company in the world, But anyway, that's really it, guys. I'm a little fucking exhausted, 2.5 hours in. So what I'm going to do is just skip on it over to the last segment of the show. The comments, the shout outs, you know how it works. You go to youtube.com, click on the latest episode of the podcast, and you can say anything you fucking want to say over there. I will read it on the show. You will listen to it from the show, and we will make babies. So our first comment here out of 11 that we got today, and I put these in no particular order because you know I'm lazy like that. Our first comment comes from Mr. Tim R., who says, I know I'm certainly not in a position to request anything from you in this podcast. That being said, if you could say this game less than the actual title of the game more, or just finish each section with, and that's what blank for my, for any idiots interested, that would help a lot. I have the memory of a jellyfish, and I don't start caring about a game or title until you've described how cool it is. I wish I could blame it on blame it on senility. I never heard it said like that. Senility, or something like that. But I've always been in shit. I've always been the shitty in the brain department. Side note: I don't care if Xbox shows you every console that the game is available on. I think that's just respectful to developers who are people that I really care about, and that's a fair point. It's great to developers, because at the end of the day, if you're a developer, you don't give a shit if the game's on Xbox or PlayStation. You want the maximum number of people playing your game, and the more platforms they can advertise, the more reach you can have for other platform holders, and more importantly, therefore, the developers can have more people engage with their art, which I totally respect that, but that kind of comes down to being like an altruistic, like, good person kind of company, and we all know that Microsoft's not that company, and that in general capitalism doesn't work in a way where it's like, do something that's good and righteous because it's good and righteous and benefits others. It's all profit driven, so it doesn't make sense because Microsoft is a for-profit company advertising for their competitors. That's just simply why it doesn't make sense. All right, Tim R, though, thank you for writing in. You have a massive brain the size of Nebraska, so it's not that you don't remember things, it's that there's just too much gray matter for your synapses to have to travel to and from, which can make recalling information a challenge for you. But that doesn't mean you're stupid. It just means you got a big brain with more surface area to cover. Duh. All right, Tim R. We'll see you next time. 360 Bro YouTube writes in and says, 1. 007 First Light is fantastic. 2. Fable should have released last year. Well, I mean, probably, but here we are. 3. PlayStation is truly cooked. How the fuck is PlayStation cooked? PlayStation is the Apple of video games. I've said this on this show for years, and I will continue to say it until it's not true, which last time I checked, it's still fucking true. PlayStation is the Apple of video games. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They can fuck up as many times as they want. Y'all motherfuckers are still going to buy their console and play all their games. And by y'all motherfuckers, I don't mean the people listening to the show. I just mean generally console gamers are going to... Listen, I don't know. It's so funny because if you take all the media and all the internet visceralness out of the equation and just put the products on a shelf. If you never played a video game in your life and you went to Best Buy and said, what should I get, this Xbox Series X or this PlayStation 5? And you have never played a console, you don't have a bias, you just really want to get into gaming, and there's no news, there's no fucking IGN.com, there's no Twitter debate from all the incels online, there's none of that to go off of, there's no track record. All you see is hardware on a shelf and games available for purchase. Dude, the Xbox Series X, I think, is a way better console than the PlayStation 5, because honestly, I'd rather fucking play, I don't know, Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon 6, and all the, Starfield and all these games that Xbox has had. I'd rather play that over fucking Saros and The Last of Us Remastered ×3 and Ghost of Yotei. And no disrespect to those games, it's just like, that's not... I think Xbox has had a great lineup. In addition to that, the prices are better. In addition to that, it has Game Pass if you want a subscription service that gives you more access for less money. On top of that, the Series S is a cheaper entry point than like the PS5 discless version is. So it's like all around, I think Xbox is the better platform. Despite all of that, people still literally go to the grocery store or the Best Buy or whatever and do the scenario I just gave you. They don't follow the news. They don't care about any of that. They don't have any opinion. They just go up there and go, PlayStation has fewer games and it doesn't have Game Pass and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't have this new game coming out available that I want to play. But I'm still going to buy the PlayStation 5 because it's the one that, like, fucking TikTok and my best friends told me I had to play in order to have the big wiener. And that's the reality that keeps happening. So, yeah, PlayStation's fucked in the sense that, like, they keep canceling all their games and they keep investing in bad projects. And they've kind of been run poorly the past generation or so. But it hasn't stopped them because PS5 sales are through the fucking roof. They're on target to outpace the PS4 sales, which is just insane considering they're doing that for a console that launched in COVID and is dealing with the modern bullshit we're dealing with now. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible. So no, PlayStation's not cooked because PlayStation could shit in a dog bag and everyone you know is still gonna fucking buy one. It's like iPhone. It's like fucking everyone just has iPhone. Is it the better phone? Sometimes iPhone's pretty cool. I had iPhone for a long time. It's a great phone. Is it the phone that's doing all the most innovative, cool, fun, unique features? Not by a long shot, but it's not going to stop people from overwhelmingly buy the orange iPhone because it makes everyone know it's a new iPhone compared to their black iPhone from last time. It's like it's just how the world works. So no, PlayStation is not cooked. I don't know what PlayStation could possibly do to be cooked. I don't know. But no, Xbox is cooked. Xbox can do everything right, and they're still fucking cooked. Cronky writes in and says, I just watched Summer Game Fest. Really strong start. Got weaker as the show went on. Horrible ending. The Final Fantasy reveal was mind-numbing. I can't help but think that Microsoft has killed Summer Game Fest by buying too many studios that would have shown games at it. LOL. That's a funny idea, but I disagree. I don't know if you're being serious or not, but I disagree because Bethesda usually didn't show up to other people's events. They always kind of did their own thing, or they would team up with Sony or Microsoft. So I feel like the Bethesda thing's like not a thing. And then Activision, it's like, yes, I think Call of Duty would be at Summer Game Fest if it weren't for Xbox having Call of Duty. Other than that, I would expect Activision to really have nothing else to show because all they make is Call of Duty. So, I mean, I guess if you want to be like, well, they own InXile, they own Obsidian, they own all these other companies. So it's like, oh, okay, well, I get what you mean, like in terms of quantity, but generally speaking, I don't know, whatever. Decoy Adoctopus wrote in and said, you didn't mention that new Xbox Ally X20 is limited. My guess is that it'll be $2,000 plus due to that. Yeah, you said that, and then someone else wrote in about it. What did they say? Let me find that one. Oh, yeah, Mr. Mag wrote in and says, I did end up getting an Xbox Ally X and am sad that I won't be able to swap to the new OLED screen for the X20 to this one. The X20 is likely to cost over $2,000 since it's bundled with $800 XR glasses. I did not know that. I did not know those glasses were already priced and that. But yeah, that's true. And when you add the scarcity and everything beyond it, yeah, you're right. It probably will be $2,000. You're not wrong about that. But yeah, man, it is sad that you can't just modify it or whatever because like I love my Xbox Ally, my regular Ally Xbox that I have. I don't feel like I'm missing out too much by not having the black, more expensive X model. But I do wish I could get an OLED screen. And honestly, if the regular Xbox Ally X, the standard black model that's more expensive but more popular, if that one had an OLED screen like the special edition one does, that might be the difference between me having bought the more expensive one versus the base one. But yeah, it is what it is. Just pretend it doesn't exist because it will drive you nuts if you think about it. But yeah, thanks for writing, guys. Let's go over to my buddy Proton Pack guy, who is Proton Packing Guys, if you know what I mean. He's a lover. Let's just say happy Pride Month to this sexy man. He says, homie, you live in Central Florida. Huey Magoo's is the chicken king in these parts. Fuck Cane's and fuck Zaxby's. Long live the Magoo. Now, this is true. I do think Huey Magoo's is the best. Overall, I think Zaxby's has a better menu and a better restaurant atmosphere, which I know for most people they don't care about. But Huey Magoo's, I will agree with you. It has better sauce and better tenders. It is the king of this style thing. The reason I don't mention Huey Magoo's is because relative to all the other brands, there are so few of them around. I don't know. Is Huey Magoo's I don't know. We have one back home in Georgia. I don't know where they operate, like what states they are and are not in. But there are so few of them that I almost, don't count them because it's just like, like people would say In-N-Out Burger makes a better burger than McDonald's, but like, yeah, most of the country doesn't have access to In-N-Out Burger, so like, why are we going to talk about it like that, So that's kind of how I am with Huey Magoo's, but I do agree with you. They are fantastic, and there does just so happen to be one very close to where I live, so I get the full benefits of the Florida Huey Magoo's lifestyle because I can have them whenever I please, and I did go through a phase a couple years ago where I was probably eating there like weekly. It was that I was that into it. But yeah, good point, Proton Pack man, packing men in your proton portion of your fucking pelvis. I don't know. Proton Pack continues on and says, dude, it's a little heartbreaking to hear you give up on theme parks entirely. There's this overwhelming external pressure to give up the things that make you happy as you get older. I've seen so many friends and former colleagues fall out of love with what I consider a fundamental part of what makes them them. Priorities change, interests fade, and I understand that. As long as you're doing it for you, that's completely reasonable. But no one should have to feel or to give up their passions because it's what they feel like they should do, not because it's what they want to do. Don't forget to embrace your inner child from time to time. The world is especially brutal lately. Take care of yourself, man. Well, thank you for writing. I appreciate you, man. That's very well written and very thoughtful of you to say. And I appreciate it. I appreciate the thought and the concern. That being said, do keep in mind this comment is currently being read on an Xbox podcast hosted by a 31-year-old childless man who takes it upon himself to freely podcast about Xbox every week. So clearly there's, the inner child is alive. I mean, I think I woke up this morning and ate fucking Jets pizza and then watched Xbox trailers and started podcasting about it. So I think the child is very much doing well within. But I appreciate that, man. It's not like, I don't know, man. I'm not giving up theme parks entirely, just to be clear. I'm getting ready my annual pass. If I have the opportunity to go to a theme park, like someone invites me to a park, or like I win, like my job will often be like, oh, here are free Disney tickets for this or that. It's like a easy freebie they can give away all the time. Like, sure, if I get some free Disney tickets, I'll go to the parks, like whatever. My dad keeps saying he wants to fly down for a trip and do Epcot for the first time. Like, I'd love to do that. I just don't feel the need to continue to have the pass and feel the pressure to be like, oh, the new ride's out, I gotta ride it. Oh, the new snack's out, I gotta be the first one to have it. I just don't feel like I need that currently at this phase of my life. And I hope it comes back because I do love theme parks. I remember what I loved about theme parks. After pretty much a year of barely going to Disney at all, because my annual pass is about to expire and I have some vacation days to burn at my job before my anniversary comes up. Because of that combination, I've actually been off work the past couple days, going to Disney World for like a couple days before my pass expires as like a last hurrah. And I kept like waiting over these past 3 days, like for the moment where like something would happen. I'd be at Disney and I'd see this or smell that or do that and be like immediately captivated and reminded, like, this is why you can never give up your annual pass. You're a Disney dork for life. But that moment like kind of didn't come. I had a really fun 3 days hanging around the parks, seeing a lot of the new things that have happened over the past year or two that I've missed, and just rewriting some classic favorite rides, taking a lap around the parks, getting my favorite snack here or there one last time before my pass expires. It was fun. But at the end of it, I kept waiting to have that feeling of like, I got to renew my pass. And I still feel pressured to do it, but I didn't feel like I had to do it because it's what I truly wanted. And I just feel like, I don't know, I really want to just focus more on video games as a hobby. And I want to spend more time at home and enjoying other new hobbies I have, like grilling and things like that, because it's just kind of where my interest lies a little more at this current point in time. And I think it's important to listen to yourself and not feel like you have to keep doing a thing or going to a place or participating in something because it is something that has historically defined you, and to feel like it's okay if, the definition of what makes you you changes over time. Things come and go, or things that were prominent are now less prominent, or things that were less prominent are now more prominent. Like, I was not very good at being a father when I was 7 years old, but if I became a father now, probably still wouldn't be good at it, but I would still like put a lot more time into it. It would become a priority. And so it's just to say that I still love Disney World. I think Disney World's fucking awesome, but I just feel more of an urge to grill steaks on a Sunday while watching baseball. But that doesn't mean I don't love theme parks. It just means I'd be a terrible father because I'd neglect him and watch baseball. Proton Pack, you have a fucking giant brain and you're so cool. And everyone who has an interest in girls and boys looks at you and says, that's a good looking boy right there. And that's what I want to say about you. So I hope you have a great week. And I hope you find a way to manage the stress of seeing all these fucking games coming out and going, how am I going to have time to go see Goofy Bear at Disneyland when I could go stress out over the fact that like Control, Resonant, and 7 other games come out within 3 days of each other. This is un-American. All right, Objects in Space is here to write in with our next one, and he says a thing. He says, I think you hit the nail on the head with Summer Game Fest. The last couple of years after watching the opening showcase, I walked away thinking that this was some kind of waste of time. Like, maybe one game I'm interested in, to the point where I'm probably just better off quickly reading the announcements after the showcase is finished. If it doesn't hit the same as E3 used to do when you'd have multiple of exciting announcements, it doesn't hit the same as E3 used to do when you had multiple exciting announcements. Annoyingly, Jeff will hype something up to ridiculous proportions, and then it ends up being something no one cares about. That being said, I have nothing better to do, so I'll still probably watch it, LOL. Objects in Space, same. That's largely how I feel about this stuff as well, but it's at the same time, it's still, you never know when it's going to be a good one. There's still something about, there's some, like, part of your brain that wants that high of, like, those E3s we all grew up loving and watching. And I think it's like, if you can watch Summer Game Fest and experience like 10-15% of the magic of E3 during that event, then it's like, yeah, wasn't it kind of worth it to watch it? It's like, yeah, kind of. I think that's what it is for a lot of us. And then I think a lot of other people have just more tolerance for whatever the fuck that showing is. But yeah, I mean, it's a good thing we watch anyway, because this year it paid off. It was a pretty good event this year. If I don't mind saying so myself, if you don't mind me saying so. I don't know, man. But I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know maybe if this show was better for you as well. I'd love to hear from you guys about that. Mr. Way of the Loud continues with us and says, great episode. Let's all go watch The Mummy. The Mummy with Brendan Fraser? What are you fucking talking about? Why would we go watch The Mummy when we could watch The Nanny instead with Fran Drescher? Get out of here, boy. Cronky writes in and says, for a minute there, it really felt like the franchises would be allowed to end. Remember Jak and Daxter, Spyro, and Crash? Now we live in a world where Sony Santa Monica just said that they were basically going to be the indefinite God of War developer, where Halo and Gears had perfect stopping points, but they won't end. Hey, let's just bring back BioShock. Let's bring back Fable. Man, what a lame time. I think you're a little more pessimistic and I don't know, like just negative about this than I am. Listen, one thing I think we've all always respected about PlayStation is when Nintendo makes their billionth Mario game and Xbox makes their billionth Halo game, PlayStation will be like, oh, we're done with Killzone now. Now we're going to make Horizon. It's just they're always on to something else. It does seem like they have something about like the nature, the pressure to like make these high quality HBO fucking cinematic video games that they make. I think there's something with that, plus the length of development, how it's just shot up exponentially over the years, where games just take so much longer to make, where that all like coincides to a place where like PlayStation feels more like, one, it's just a safe bet to continue to make things like God of War, and two, it takes so long to make these games and they're so expensive that we better make sure that there's like an IP or brand behind it that's going to help sell it. And so I think, despite the fact that they used to go from Spyro to Ratchet, from Ratchet to Resistance, and so on and so forth, it just makes more sense to them now to make the safer bets, which is fucking lame. I agree. But to that point, I mean, listen, I think Halo and Gears are like sci-fi fun, rompy enough to where you can kind of just keep making them and it'd be fun because they're just, fun blockbusters. But there is something weird about like making God of War over and over again when the modern interpretation of God of War is this like serious, somber, like drama story. It's like, what do you mean it just keeps going and going and going? What is this, like season 12 of Lost or something? Like, it's weird. But yeah, I don't know, man. Bringing back Fable, I don't know. I kind of see your point. I kind of don't. As long as you're putting out enough new games to justify the constant revisitation of old games, I think you're good. Balance is totally fine. I do generally hate the sentiment that everything's got to be a sequel. But also, I think in gaming, it's a weird medium where sequels are necessitated a lot more than they are in things like film and books and things like that. So I don't know. I just kind of give games a pass for the sequelitis that they have. Just because, I mean, like, man, imagine spending 8 years making one game and half that time was just like building like an engine and like making assets and trying to like nail the mechanics of the first game. And then you can make a second game in like half the amount of time now, but you just don't because you don't want to feel redundant. It's like, sequels kind of make sense in the world of video games for the most part. So I'll give them that. Mr. Mag writes in and says, a big reason why someone would want to put Steam or anything Linux to simulate Steam on their ROG Ally is because you get better performance, as weird as it sounds. So I'm looking at playing a single game on either SteamOS or Bazite and keep Windows for games like COD. I mean, to be fair, Windows is slow as hell, and the Xbox app is painfully slow on this ROG Ally. And then the second I switch into Steam, it's fast and fluid and snappy like a Steam Deck. So you are right about something there. It just seems like a lot of work for like just too much fucking around with something that's not intended to be messed with. So I don't know. That's just kind of how I see it. But whatever, teach their own. Cronky says, I ate Raising Cane's yesterday. I find it funny you talked about that in this episode. I was so because last week I was talking about how Zaxby's is better than Raising Cane's, and Cronky like wrote in immediately afterwards and was like, dude, Zaxby's is better than Cane's. So he says, Zaxby's has better chicken, fries, and bread. I'd say Cane's has better bread. All in all, I'd rather eat a McChicken than that place again, referring to Cane's. I largely agree with you because I think Zaxby's is better than Cane's, but I actually had Cane's the day that podcast went live because I was meeting up with a friend to go to Disney, and he's like, yo, let's grab lunch outside the parks to save some money. And then we met up at Raising Cane's. So that was funny because the day before I had Zaxby's, which I normally wouldn't eat something like that back to back, but whatever, the situation called for it, and being able to compare them closely to each other like that, back to back, meal after meal, was interesting because, I actually think Raising Cane's probably is the better toast, but generally speaking, everything at Zaxby's is better. Actually, you can make an argument for fries. I think they're both kind of mediocre because I don't like crinkle fries, but the chicken, the sauce, the menu variety, the atmosphere, I think Zaxby's wins all day. So Cronky, thank you for being right about something today. Thank you. Cronky also continues with the second comment saying, commenting pre-game showcase, just in case something changes, but I find it super annoying that everything is getting out of the way of Grand Theft Auto. Personally, that literally could not, sorry. Let me retry that sentence. I find it super annoying that everything is getting out of GTA's way as a person that literally could not care less about that game. Why do I have to wait longer for good games to come around when crappy driving mechanics and Simulator 6 is coming out? Cronky, I think you're a little extra mean about GTA. It doesn't have to be your cup of tea, but there's no denying that it's a huge fucking deal. It's as simple as this. These publishers and developers are spending shit tons of money to invest in these products they're making, and they don't want to take the financial risk of getting demolished because they released too close to Grand Theft Auto 6, because it's not that they prefer for Grand Theft Auto 6 to be that big of a game. It just means that that's what they feel like they have to do to protect their projects. I don't know, it just would behoove you to stay out of Grand Theft Auto's way if you could afford to do so, because chances are that game is going to eat up a lot of people's time, even if it's not eating up your time specifically. I don't know. What do you want to say about it, boy? I do think it's funny now that Xbox Showcase and everything's done. It's like, there's like literally nothing coming out this November. I saw someone say on like Threads or Blue Sky or something, they're like, the only game that's scheduled to come out anytime within the week surrounding GTA 6 is like this Barbie remaster collection or something. There's some Barbie game coming out. I was like, oh, well, of course Barbie can go toe to toe, with with GTA 6, but God forbid, like fucking Remedy's able to do it. I don't know. I respect why it happens. It just sucks, especially for people like you that it does, because it just is what it is. Guys, the final comment of the week comes from Mr. Dead Captain James, OG Man, who says, well, not OG Man, that was a different commenter, but he is the OG Man, is what I'm trying to say. He says, not gonna lie, this was actually a smart move delaying Fable. Even though I'm more excited for Fable than GTA 6, releasing thus fall near it will be a death sentence for it. Cronky responded to that and said, I'm not sure how much crossover there is. I think GTA 6 is more of a threat to Call of Duty's crowd. And Captain James responds to that and says, you're right, but gaming conversations matter a lot to young gamers. And all the news and YouTube channel will be about GTA 6 for months. And that's where I really agree with you, Mr. Captain James, because even though, yes, a Call of Duty player is more likely to also be a Grand Theft Auto player than a Laser Suit Larry player is. So, like, I get the idea. It's like, well, maybe you could release something like Fable next to GTA, because the crossover in their audience isn't that much. Well, I would say there is a decent amount of crossover because Fable is a heavily Xbox game, and Xbox first-party games draw a lot of attention from a hardcore user base, and the hardcore user base on Xbox almost definitely gives a shit about Grand Theft Auto. So I would argue Fable 6 next to Grand Theft Auto is a bad idea. It's also just the idea of trying to release a tentpole game next to a tentpole game is just generally a bad idea. If there are two movies that are coming out this weekend and you only care about one of them, but both are projected to be like two of the biggest movies of the year, it still matters that they're releasing next to each other because someone out there is being competed for with their time between those two movies, even if you don't like one of them. So I think that's all there is to it. A big event is a big event. If you put two big events up against one another, something has to win out, and that's going to be Grand Theft Auto, unfortunately, if you're Fable. That's just all there is to it. But yeah, and I also really agree with Dead Captain James, though. It's just, listen, so much of what happens in this world, like, here we go. I have a coworker, nice guy, likes to make fun of the fact that I like Call of Duty, likes to make fun of the fact that I play on Xbox, likes to make fun of whatever. We talk about like nerd stuff sometimes because he's slightly nerdy. He watches like Marvel movies and has Fortnite, right? So I was asking him, I was like, bro, Supergirl looks pretty good, man. I'm gonna see Supergirl, and he goes, nah, man, I'm gonna see. Superman's dumb. I was like, why is Superman dumb? He's like, oh, because the girl isn't hot, and because like it's like stupid. The last Superman movie was dumb. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of a dumb point. He's like, I'm gonna watch Masters of the Universe because that's my childhood. I'm like, okay. And then like lo and behold, I go online and what's everyone bitching about? It's like, oh, the new Supergirl movie is gonna suck because she's not that sexy of a girl to look at for me. And I think the movie's dumb, and I don't like the way she acts in this one. And it's like, oh, there we go. There's the fucking online mob mentality. So it's like, yeah, that's just powerful, man. It's like to a lot of normies out there, they don't like look at Grand Theft Auto releasing and go like, oh, everyone's excited about this game. Not for me. I personally am more looking forward to Fable. Your everyday normie, like the guy you work with, is probably going to see Grand Theft Auto 6 and be like, oh, GTA 6? Oh, I heard that's a big game. And then they're going to go on TikTok, and TikTok's going to be like, yo, look at this funny clip of GTA 6. Broccoli hair. And then like they're gonna go on Instagram and there's gonna be like a naked girl like, I'm cosplaying as Naked Kelly from GTA 6, and then they're gonna go on fucking Facebook, and their like old neighbor's aunt is gonna be on there like, Grand Theft Auto 6 should be made illegal because women have breasts in this game. And then you're gonna be like, damn, I can't get away from Grand Theft Auto. I guess Grand Theft Auto is the coolest thing. Then you go to work and you make awkward small talk with your coworker you don't like, and he goes, oh dude, have you seen GTA 6? It's so badass. You can like shoot people and say the F word in it. And then they're like, oh, that's so cool. I guess I like GTA 6. I'm sorry, but if you're Fable, doesn't matter how much I'm excited for it, how much you're excited for it, how much we as Xbox people understand the significance of a new Fable game. You can't compete with that fucking brain dead, like half naked guy on the Instagram talking about GTA 6. It's just too much to compete with. And that is, you know, what the it's sad. It's, you know, it sounds like corporate platitudes, but there's a reason why Xbox and PlayStation and all these tech companies say the same thing. We're like, we're not really competing with insert competitor here. They're like, we're more so competing with your time, the attention economy. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's the reality of it all, man. Like, you can make Fable as detailed and beautiful as a game as you want, but at the end of the day, you're no fucking match for doom scrolling. And that's just the reality of that we live in. And I think if you're spending the money Microsoft spent on Fable, if you're spending any fucking amount of money and taking any risk on your financial well-being to put a game out to the market, you know, it's already difficult enough to get someone to pay attention to your game when their phone is like, here's the top 5 things I ate at Barnes & Noble. You know, it's like when you're competing with that all day, every day, the last thing you want to do is put yourself in the way of GTA, even if you think there's not a whole lot of crossover between your audiences. So it's annoying as fuck that all of our games that we all consider to be more exciting, like Control, like Gears of War, like Modern Warfare 4, like whatever, we all have to wait longer because a lot of these games are getting pushed to 2027, and we have to be crammed and like thrown a million games in September, October because of this. But it doesn't mean that the games we like or are interested are more or less important or exciting. It just means at the end of the day, a lot of people out there are going to have their little monkey brains pulled to the side to play GTA 6. Not saying it's a good or bad game, not saying I like it or don't like it. I'll probably play it day one, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it, but it won't be the best game ever by any stretch of the imagination. That is my expectation for GTA 6. But at the end of the day, GTA 6 gets the monkey brains. The people that have like fucking fidget spinners and say things like Excelsior when they find an attractive woman on the street. Like, these people will be playing Grand Theft Auto 6. So you got to understand these publishers and developers doing what they got to do to try and survive. It just is what it is. I don't know. It's not ideal. It's just totally reasonable. That's all. I also think Grand Theft Auto 6 will be banned in Saudi Arabia. And then the Saudi Royal Prince will probably try and buy Take-Two Interactive. That's going to be fucking sick. I can't wait for that to happen. But guys, that's a whole Xbox podcast. Roughly 3 hours here. I got to edit this down a little bit. But, man, overall, I'm pretty satisfied. I feel like there have been years where I've walked away like giddy, like, oh, I'm so excited about this, this, and this. This is not one of those years. Between the PlayStation event, Summer Game Fest, Xbox's event, and as of the time I'm recording this, the rumor is that Nintendo's going to have a surprise event this week. So far, I've just not had a showcase that's gotten me like, oh my god, I'm so excited. If anything, I'm walking away like, those were 3 really good showcases, and I'm overwhelmed with bullshit to play right now. That's kind of the only mentality I have, but I'm definitely walking away completely satisfied and satiated with really the output and the showings from all 3 of these companies. Even though there's definitely some things PlayStation and Xbox could have done to make their shows better, to have better games or more games, whatever shown. At the end of the day, I think all things considered, with what a hellscape the games industry is currently for people to work in and rely on, I just think this is a pretty fucking great showing, and we have a lot to be excited about and grateful for as gamers. That's really all I gotta say about that. But guys, I look forward to your comments, what you thought about these showcases, what games you're looking forward to, your interpretations, observations, and let's talk about these games and stories as they continue to evolve and we get more piecemeal fed info about them. So, yeah, with that said, you guys have a great week. Take care. Enjoy your video games. We play them. And power your dreams, baby.